to move forward. What make we can all unite? Put each man difference aside. Why can't we just come together? See some tribal wars and fight. Who knows better must do better? A source of collective insight may not be exposed to education, but surely knows wrong from right. Africans with African pride, fighting to attain our rights. Want no more shedding of blood for this nation to move forward. Africans with African pride, fighting to attain our rights. Want no more shedding of blood for this nation to move forward. Say hey, within a motivation, teach I to be self-sufficient. No one to depend on no one for attainment of my brain. Oh, these words are my calling. Children crying white squad tears. Hunger rampant harvest plenty. Ooh, Africans with African pride, fighting to attain our rights. Want no more shedding of blood for any nation to move forward. Africans with African pride, fighting to attain our rights.
The good Lord Almighty for giving us another opportunity to come and serve the community. This is the Progressive Mind Show here at WGHC 98.3 FM. Your voice, your music, your station. We are the first African-owned radio and internet station that provides a platform for people to have a voice to the issues in their communities and respective countries. We exist because of your generous tax-deductible contributions. Please consider us as your future charity. Visit our website, wghcfm.org. Make your contributions there, because what you give us is what sustains and helps develop our programs and our equipment here. You're welcome once again to another edition of the Progressive Mind Show. I am your host, Alinko, and today will be the Voices of East Africa. These are I have in the studio great, wonderful people who are championing the voices of East Africa and trying to make sure that the African policies and African politics and policies in Washington is directed, is turned in the right direction in the favor of Africans. We would have to skip Captain Mike's segment today. I'm sure he's caught up with his flight schedules. Captain Mike is a pilot with United Airlines. Of course, if you want to fly, you want to, of course, use United Airlines. One of our own works for them. So Captain Mike segment would not be available today. We would dive straight into the discussion this evening. If you are on the northwest side of Chicago, dial 98.3 FM. We are on the dial. If you happen to be outside the range for any reason, please search for WGHC FM on your phone. For iPhone users, iTunes users, download the TuneIn app or go to tunein.com. Once you have the TuneIn app, search for WGHC FM. Alternatively, you can listen to us by calling this number, 563-999-3221, 563-999-3221, or, of course, go on our website, WGHCFM.org. We did like to go straight into the discussion. My panel are here. I'll introduce them to you in a little bit. If you join us on Facebook, please share it so that the Voices of East Africa can go very far today. All right, share the feed as soon as you come on the page. You can see me today because I want the I want the focus to be on them. I'm a little bit. That's why we need your help, because we need a big camera that can capture everybody in the studio. So at the moment, you can only see them, and I'll be introducing, like I said, doing the introduction a little bit. Before that, we would like to take a short musical break. When we come back, we would continue this discussion for this evening. Stay tuned.
Africa, Africa.
Okay, we're back to the Progressive Mind Show, and as I said earlier, if you just join us on Facebook, share the feed so we can have a very interesting conversation. So your friends and our friends can all participate in it. It's the 23rd of February, 23rd of April, 2019. The weather has been wishy-washy, sometimes cold, sometimes hot. This week has been fair to us. It's 52 degrees on the outside. I like to borrow my brother's, jargon, if I may say so. Kofi, Nana Kofi, shout out to you, the vulgar man. And then shout out to Abai was in the studios a few minutes ago. He did this thing. Shout outs to Kosi, if you're listening, Kosi, UIC, if you're listening, shout out to you. Okay, we want to talk about the voices of East Africa, but the conversation will not be only zeroed on East Africa, because East Africa is not an island of Africa. It's actually, we're not supposed to be different countries, but that will be hard. That discussion will be hard another time. Africa is one big community. We just got divided by so many. We just got divided for so many reasons by a certain group of people, which might be discussed today, or touched on today, or discussed in depth sometime. We have this wonderful people here. Again, it's, the voices of East Africa, diaspora voices shaping African politics and policies in Washington. We have Seenaa Jimjimoo. She is a woman and human rights defender. She was born in Oromia, Ethiopia. She studied political science in hopes of becoming a solution, holds a master's degree in public health and administration. Ms. Seenaa was a graduate student, senator, co-founder, and president of African Student Organization at Truman College, and assistant executive director for Oromo Community Association of Chicago, a recipient of many awards, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Scholarship, Mithini M. Young Fellowship, and Preceptorship. Currently, she is the president of the Coalition of Oromo Advocates for Human Rights and Democracy, and an environmental health inspector for Vermilion County Health Department. Ms. Seenaa is an author and dedicated women's rights activist. Seenaa, you're welcome to the Progressive Mind Show.
Thank you.
She's the one in the middle. Obviously, she's the only woman here. Peter Magie is a board member of the Coalition Advocates of South Sudan, CAS. He is also a co-founder of Pongborong Primary School in South Sudan. We will let him tell us about the vision for creating that school. And then Alpha Dialo, to the far left, is a human rights lawyer. He's a president and executive director of One Heart for Africa. He is a writer under the Human Rights Tree, a member of the Northwestern Prescott School of Alumni. He wears several hats, and maybe during during the conversation this evening, he might want to tell us a little bit about other things that he does. Alpha Dialo, and then Peter Magie, you're welcome to the Progressive Mind Show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome, and this is home, so feel free. All right, let's have a decorous. Let's have a very deep conversation regarding our beautiful continent, and this is the first African radio station with a dial in the history of Chicago. Okay, and actually in the history of Midwest, I don't think there's ever been an FM station for our community. And so this is where we come and we feel very comfortable to talk about the things, actually tell our story the way it ought to be told. And so again, feel free, and so we can go into the things. Seenaa, can you give us a little background apart from what we have realized, what we have learned about you being an advocate and also a professional? What do you do in your free time if you're not working?
Peter and I go back a long time. We grew up.
Okay.
He is very active for his community.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I do is I'm sure a lot of people who don't know who the Oromos were. for the past 20 years, for
Right.
the past 19 years. It was about educating who I was and who as I believe I am, not how people assign me that I am this or that person. So I was, it was about fight against that, trying to put my name and my identity as I believe rather than accepting what is being told to me. It was rather me teaching people one by one. I can tell you I have thousands of people what the Oromo means, who the Oromo people were.
Exactly. And how long have you been in the States?
Almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay, Alpha.
Yes.
Before we go to Alpha, what's your favorite food?
My favorite food?
Yes.
Oh, Italian food and African.
Italian food?
Italian food, yeah.
Okay, I thought you were going to say,
The Oromo, the marca?
no, the injera.
The injera?
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
It's
We eat a
good
lot of
too?
Injera, yeah.
Okay. But injera is not the most, popular Ethiopian food. Like, there are other...
It is
the most
it is very popular,
Popular.
but it's just that I kind of grow up a little bit of both.
Okay. You like sports, entertainment, are you into music, sports, and
I
stuff
like
like
music. I'm into politics. Addicted to politics.
Okay. So you okay, that's your thing.
I'm one of those people who wake up in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock, and read the news.
Read the news, okay. So you're not into too much of TV and social media, stuff like that.
And that
Okay,
much.
Alpha, how long have you been in the United States?
I have been here since 2000.
2000.
Yeah.
And you are the co-founder of One Heart Africa. Is it co-founder or founder? Founder of One Heart Africa.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're not being a lawyer or working for One Heart Africa, are you a social person? You like to go to the bar? You like to, have fun?
Yeah, I like to dance.
Like to dance?
And in my free time, I play music too. as
Okay.
well, so,
Oh, you play some instruments?
yeah,
Oh, like what?
keyboard.
Keyboard? Oh, beautiful. So if you go to the bar, which one? You go to Safari, Wild Hair, or
Sometime I go to the Wild Hair.
Wild Hair?
Because I like reggae.
like reggae?
music. But sometime it depends my mood. Sometime I go to the Drake Hotel.
Okay.
They have a swing dancing. And sometime I go to Latin Bliss. They have a Latin. So I go to different part of the city and
And have fun.
have fun. So.
Peter, if you're not, going about your regular work, what do you do for fun?
Well, I'm a big-time Chicago Bull fan, so I go to the Bull game.
All right.
I got lucky, so I got free tickets, so I go to all the game. As you know, when Lord Deng was drafted by the Chicago Bull in 2004, we become a good friend of the Chicago Bull community relations. So they provided with the ticket. So that's where I go whenever I have a free time.
Okay.
I also go to the gym, work out, play basketball just for fun.
Okay.
But during summertime, of course, I go to all the summer festival here in Chicago, in downtown.
Are you anywhere related to Manute Bull?
Well, Manute was a very close friend of mine, very good friend of mine. We both came from the Dinka ethnic group.
Okay.
But Manute was actually a person who introduced me to Lord Deng.
Okay.
When Lord got drafted by the Chicago Bulls. So
all right.
He was a very, very, very close friend of mine.
Manute Bull, man. If you don't know Manute Bull, for folks who don't know Manute Bull, he was a former, was it a Bulls player?
Well, he played for 4 teams, Golden State,
Okay.
Philadelphia, Miami, and what's the other team? So he played for 4 teams.
At his time, was he the tallest?
Yeah, I think he was the tallest person who ever played in the NBA, at the height of 7'7". And his son is about 7'2", at the age of 19. So.
And is his son playing basketball?
He played for Oregon.
Okay.
And so he declared for the NBA draft, so you're going to see him playing in the NBA.
No, you said he's a tall. Okay, I at the time, history had it that he was the tallest guy who ever played for the NBA. But Yao Ming is 7'8".
Yao Ming is just 7'6". Manute was 7'7".
Oh, Yao Ming is 7'6".
Yep.
Oh my God, 7'7". Anyway, let's not go into sports. I love sports, and when we were growing up, we used to watch Manute Bull. Even back in Ghana, we'll watch it on tape and all that. Right. But yeah, we all have passion for something. And mine is sports, soccer specifically, but sports in general. Anyway, who are the Oromos? or
So-
Oromia?
Yes. So Oromia is the territory, and Oromos are the people, and I, breathe and talk and dream about those people very much. Now, since last year, it's a little bit better. But Oromos are the largest ethnic group in East Africa, the third largest spoken language in the whole of Africa. They make at least 50 million or more in East Africa.
50 million.
50 million, and
Okay.
but nobody have ever heard of them until recently, because of what we did in Washington. Until recently, the protests that had taken place. I think recently we finally pushed the Ethiopian regime to give in into democracy, a semi-democracy, and push to Washington to actually acknowledge the money they are given from here in the name of aid, in the name of education and things like that. Is indirectly empowering dictators that are harassing and killing and exiling people in
Okay.
millions.
What is the main, or what is the prevalent ethnic group in Ethiopia?
So Oromos are like, the country is about 107, 108 million, 108 million. So from that you have about 50 million at least or more are Oromos.
So would you say most of the Ethiopians in Chicago have an Oromo origin, or?
No,
Okay.
they won't. What happened is like before 1991, Oromos were not even allowed to speak Afan Oromo. You can't speak your language. It was
can't
a crime.
speak Oromo, right.
You can go to jail for speaking your language.
Who was controlling that?
So exactly. So the thing is, so African scramble in 1887, right? So Africa was created as countries.
Right.
So it was during those times that Ethiopia was also took current shape. And even though the Oromo were a majority in number wise, they never held the power until last year. Last year's first time we have new prime minister who happened to be at least by birth Oromo, and then seems to have Oromo nationalist, though. At least he says, though. That's a different stuff. We talk about it. But so Oromos are the largest ethnic group, but before 1991 they were not recognized. So since 1991, the Ethiopia kind of took what we call ethnic federalism, where the region is divided in 9 sections, which is like Oromo have Oromia, Amhara have Amhara. So everybody kind of divided in
So before Oromo was recognized, Aramia was ruling?
So before Oromo recognized, before 1887, so in Africa, if it was just the people living in a land, territory.
Right. Yeah, territory.
So that's like, tribe. You have your tribe,
Yep.
that person. So, but after Africa is colonized
Right.
directly.
When it became Ethiopia, by the
exactly.
Portuguese, right?
Well, no, actually, Ethiopia was colonized twice by Italians.
Italians. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but what happens, like now you give them this fake identity. You put people by force together, and you call from this area. From here on, you are called Ethiopia.
Right.
And these people is forced marriage. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So what we're saying, like, we don't want that to happen. If
Okay.
people have a right to secede if they want to, that's what the Constitution of 1991 says,
Okay.
that you have a right up to secession if you don't want to. So what we're saying is, like, as an Oromo, we want to give people to live how they want to. But if your choice is to secede, please go ahead. But before, it was forced, Oromos were forced to be there. But that's no longer the case, at least. But the country is still, we have a new prime minister since last year.
Right.
Yeah, and he is the first Oromo prime minister that actually speaks Afan Oromo, speaks the language. Before that, the state don't recognize the Oromo, even though they are such a large people.
Right.
They don't recognize them. I grew up in a political family. It was a crime to be Oromo. You get beat up, you get arrested.
So I want to know so which tribe was that?
So Oromo, I mean,
No. The Oromos.
Before, okay. So since
You said the Oromos, it was a crime to speak Oromo, right? So who was
in charge?
Yeah.
Who was so the people who were ruling Ethiopia is ethnic. Okay, we have about, just like Nigeria and
Ghana,
we have about, 83 ethnic group.
right?
From 83, the two ethnic group make up about 75% of the population.
Okay.
About 70.
Oromo
okay?
and
Amhara.
Good. Amhara. Okay.
Yes, Amhara.
Okay.
So on and off, the northern, Oromos are the southern. The northerns have been empowered for the past.
Who are the Amhara?
The Amharas and partially Tigris.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
Okay.
I've never heard Amhara.
Amhara. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, great. But okay, the board has changed now. And would you say that it's as a result of some of your struggle or your fight at Washington that had caused this shift?
Oh, absolutely. This is the first time we feel great.
Okay.
We could go back there and say you're Oromo.
Okay, we'll come back so you can tell us how you started the fight and what motivated you and all that. But Alpha, tell us about One Africa. Yeah.
Personally, when I first came to the United States.
You can feel free to.
Okay.
There you go.
When I came to the United States in 2000, I came with the idea that I am a Guinean.
Guinean, okay.
But by living here, I realize I am more than a Guinean. I am an African.
Okay.
But considering the fact I went to school, French school, I always was brainwashed, telling me, well, you are this nationality, this country, you know. And basically, I, from a place of conscience, I come to the understanding that we are all Africans,
right.
and we need to find a way to recognize that on us and take action to unite. That's why I see the need, basically, to create an organization that will bring all the Africans together for African causes. You know, therefore, you have, for instance, a lot of misinformation about Africa. Therefore, we remain silent for those misinformation.
Right.
And I feel like we need to have an organization that kind of bring a balanced information. You know, say Africa is not about war, about disease only, but Africa is about a rich continent.
Right.
Africa is also about a country that have a young population who have a dream to better their lives.
Right.
So those kind of positive things. And in same time is also a way to basically say to us, we are here in United States of America. We are in a platform. When you speak, the world listen. Therefore, we should not be silent. We should always say something. We should always advocate for a better Africa. We should always get involved. You know, like Seenaa, she was here, but she tried a way to get involved on what's going on in Ethiopia. And we have to do the same where we come from. You know, we need to always to talk about our home country and to try to push policies that help people back home.
Right.
The other thing is about our culture. We need to find a way, basically, to promote, you know, to share who we are, and not to be same of it. You know, so we need to be able today. We are Africans, and we are proud of our culture, because what people are saying often is not the case. Right. And we need to find a voice and share it with the
That
rest
is
of
so
the
beautiful.
world.
The one thing that you said that hit me was when you mentioned the rich continent. It's a topic that I've been planning on discussing here. I've just been having a hard time finding the right people to help me do that. So now that you've mentioned the rich continent, you are automatically part of that conversation the next time I think about it. Okay.
Thank you.
Then when I plan for it, actually, I think I have this set here. I mean, I can have the Romo lady, I can have Peter. You know, I'm just joking. But Peter, a lot of people know about. We know al-Bashir is ousted now, right? He's the current Sudanese president who's ousted.
Right.
Let's start from the beginning, and then we'll go to the. No, let's start from the end, the current, and then we'll go to the old. Okay, what has happened? How the Sudanese refugees ended, or the Sudanese people ended up in Chicago. What is the current situation regarding al-Bashir, and what's the way forward?
Well, Sudan is split in 2011, so now you have South Sudan and you have North Sudan. Both countries has been in war. Right. But in case of Sudan, as you know, Umar al-Bashir has been in power since 1989, basically 30 years in power, and all he has done is to displace people, kill people, done all the bad things. I was a victim when I left the country in 1988, 1 year before he got into power. So, but recently, of course, there's been, you know, because of the economy, because of the bad things that have happened in the country, there's been protests that started in December, and that protests continue all the way until, you know, April 6th. People finally had a chance to mobilize in large numbers, and as a result, Bashir is now overthrown. So, but currently you have a military that want to take over, but people are not ready, you know, for a military rule, and they just want a civilian rule. So that negotiation is ongoing now, and the protests are are still going on in Sudan.
Sudan. It has been mentioned so many. I mean, it's been in the news for a long time.
Right.
Let's talk about the significance of Sudan when it comes to sub-Saharan African political struggle.
Well, Sudan happened to be one of the richest country. It has all the resources, it has oil, and many other resources. But unfortunately, this country has been in war for so long. Since Sudan gained independence in 1956, war started right away between the North and the South. That war went on for 11 years, and then in 1972, there was peace that led to a break. So we had peace, and then in 1983, war started again, and that war went on until 2005. So because of this conflict, I had to leave the country in 1988, went to Ethiopia, as with many other children who were forced out by the war. I lived in Ethiopia for 4 years, and then when war broke out in Ethiopia in 1991, I had to leave Ethiopia. But instead of going to Sudan, I ended up going to Kenya, and I lived in a refugee camp in Kenya for 9 years before I came to the United States here in 2001.
Okay. What was the reason, Oromo, if you can tell us, the 1991, what was the cause of the 1991 Ethiopian war?
Well, 1991 is the break point when the new regime came place. Before that, it was...
you mean the Oromo regime?
No,
sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry. Yes, I did.
The country, the issue of the country of Ethiopia is so complex because the West is infatuated with Ethiopia. There is this perception between the U.S. and Britain that they got to save Ethiopia.
Right.
There's this some Christian nation.
Right.
There's this magically whatever it is that they feel like it's
the
their
Rastafarians
job.
believe
Their God.
Their God is from
Right.
Ethiopia.
I have a story. I met Bombardi's son when I used to work in hotel, and he had a Rastafari's picture in here, and I'm like, "What is this?" I knew about it, and he was like, "This is God." But for Oromo, he was somebody who committed genocide against.
You mean Haile Selassie?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like he is someone that should be accounted. He's dead. If you could bring a person from grave, bring him back, destroy him. I don't know.
Right.
He's a criminal, but he's a god to some people here. So he got mad at me. So 1991 is when new regime took place in Ethiopia. It was communism. During that. So since they said Ethiopian state was formed, it was never a peace in that country. There was always one above the other one. It's about superiority and inferiority. It's about the southern always being inferior, always never having real to rule the country or lead the country, but rather Ethiopia resource and land and the people are predominantly come from the south. Anything, 70% of whether it's coffee, gold, or anything that comes from that country comes from the South. Yet the South never been in power for the past 130 years. And not only that, not only human rights violation, but we were actually disseminated to the point we are less than human being in that country. We were a second-class citizen. We were not allowed to speak our culture. We were not allowed to speak our faith, let alone before even today. To be honest with you, I'm a follower of my ethnic religion called
Rakifena.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, predominantly Muslim and Christianity are followers of those two religions.
Right.
So as an Oromo and as a follower of this faith, people look down on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's the backward. Why do you want to follow what your great-grandparents did? But to me, the way I see is my great-grandfather, there's this connection between our ancestor and God that make us close to God, close to with nature. But now we went away so far from that, and we are really into this modern religion that we have forgot as African. We have forgot ourselves. One thing that Alpha say, and Alpha also, we know each other for a very long time. We are all activists in our community. We're not only activists that we go to Washington, we actually mobilize people to teach the community, to let them hear our voices, the issues that matters. We support candidates. We support leaders that wanted to do something for their community. Alpha, mentioned that, Africa is indeed one big continent, and we are all brother and sister, and I agree that. But that doesn't mean we should diminish our own identity, our unique set of who we are. Because what makes Seenaa is not because I'm an American. It's because I'm an Oromo, and I take pride in being who I am. I take pride in following my religion. You might not agree with me. It might seem backward to you, but to me, what makes me unique and beautiful, it is who I believe in. It doesn't mean I feel like I'm better than Alpha or Alpha's people. What I'm saying is Alpha have to give me a right and a space for me to be myself.
Feeling comfortable in your skin.
Exactly.
In what you
then
believe.
you can live with other people.
Exactly. Peter, Sudan, what is the most prevalent religion in Sudan?
Well, you have Christian, and then in the north you are Muslim.
Muslim.
Yeah. So in northern Sudan it's predominantly Muslim. In the south you have Christian.
Okay,
and
50-50.
other religion.
What's about the population of Sudan?
The population of Sudan, it was about 40 million before Sudan is split. So in the north, in northern Sudan, you have about 30 million. In the south, about 12 million.
You know, a lot of people don't even know that Sudan has a very large amount of what you call it, oil.
Right,
oil reserve. People don't even know that. People don't even know that.
That's why we are in war.
Yeah, I mean, people would think it's maybe what Nigeria and of course Saudi Arabia and Venezuela and all this, but Sudan is actually very, very, very rich in oil and gold, as you mentioned.
But in every country in Africa with the natural resource is a curse.
Well,
look at the Congo.
Now, I would want to differ with that word curse. It's not a curse. It's a blessing. It's a blessing, but we know we've always had external factors who have turned our blessing into a curse for us. Right. It's not the people. The people itself, have always had the privilege of those natural resources. We've always used it. Again, before the first European ever found Africa, we were living in riches. That's why, again, the topic, the rich continent, has been so dear on my heart for 2 years now. Oh, by the way, how did I forget my own anniversary? This is the second year of of Progressive Minds.
Well, congratulations.
So yes, wish me happy anniversary, please.
Oh, very much. And to be honest with you, we did not know such a radio exists because this is our voice. This is how we wanted to. Here is where we're going to get heard from. So we are very grateful for you.
Absolutely. Well, I take that. Thanks for being grateful for bringing on my show. But I think the person we have to be very much grateful for his life is the owner of the station. Of course, we thank God for the opportunity, but we also want to be we also want to remember and be cognizant of the fact that the one person decided to leave his profession. He decided to leave his career. He's taken on a lot of hate, a lot of struggle to make sure that this dream becomes a reality. For about 6, 7, or maybe 8 years, he's been following this dream, and he's, he has suffered for it. His name is Nana Kofi. The Ghanaian community know him as Nana Kofi, but he goes by the nickname NK. I don't know, you guys, if you had come earlier, you would have met him. You know him. Peter, you know him. So he is the owner and the founder of this station, and so kudos to him for doing this. And I'm glad that folks like you come here and you see the vision. You see the goal that we have found in Chicago, which has become our voice now. That is why our motto is your voice, your music, your station. Anytime you mention WGSC, it goes with your voice, your music, your station. So that just goes to the point that you made. So yeah, let me take a pause to say that I meant to say this earlier, but the program went the way it did. But today marks the second year of Progressive Minds. 2 years ago, when I joined the station, I was a guest, just helping my other brother, Black Jesus, who is in the community. I was a guest on his show. Then I met Kofi, and I saw this, and I was excited, just like you are. Then I had a dream to do this, and so I started my first show with the mental health. And family, sisters, friends, kept encouraging me. And so I just want to take this moment to thank Rebecca Mode, Jocelyn Akofa, Menyo, Bridget, Afua, and then Selassie, Sierra, and everybody. If I forgot your name, please forgive me. Isis, a lot of friends, and maybe Shirley, all the way in Canada. A lot of friends from Ghana, from Africa, from here. and kept encouraging me. And my one good friend, Ben Akoli, wherever you are, God bless you. Ben Akoli actually gave me the encouragement. He kept pushing me. He said, look, you can do this. He helped me choose the name. And so I just want to thank you all. First of all, give big thanks to God Almighty for giving me the vision and giving me the opportunity and the strength to come your way every Tuesday to serve you all. So I just want to recognize today as a special day, the second year, and I pray that, God will give us more strength and more vision to keep going and even take this to a bigger level. And so just want to get that out of the way. So when I'm done with the show, you meet me somewhere, buy me a piece of cake, celebrate me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding with that. But Alpha, you've been listening to the conversation, how Africa has been the place, the scramble for, the external forces, war in Sudan because of the gold, and then because of the resources. Seenaa mentioned how, there was civil war. It looks like Africa has internal wranglings, like we fight each other for some, for can you tell us why we have this internal wranglings, this civil war, and all this aside the external forces? Why do we fight each other in Africa?
Basically, after hearing what they say,
right?
My thing is like we have a problem of self-determination. We all believe that we are independent state, but we are not. And that create a problem. We are the richest continent in the world, and therefore people need to have a control on our resources. And to have a control in our resources, they have to have people, African, to play that role. And therefore, when those interests are in conflict, therefore African are fighting. But most of African leaders, they don't have the money to buy guns. Therefore, guns are given to them to achieve a purpose for somebody that is outside. Therefore, what we struggling is we lacking self-determination. Our people don't have the power to elect their own leaders.
Right.
And politically we say we are independent, but economically we are dependent. And therefore it's going to keep going until we have the courage as an African to recognize where is the problem lay and what can we do to tackle those issues. I understand we are all from different ethnies. Some people are Dingas, some people Uru. I am Fulani. We have to have the freedom to express our identity, but we should do it in a unified way because for many years our ethnies live together in peace as brothers and sisters until colonization came and divide people in different saying these people are more than these ethnies and all those things, and we start. But I think what we need is peace, and what we also need is the knowledge that we are all brothers and sisters, and the best way for us is to unite and have a powerful continent that look for development.
So you don't think that as Africans we have the tendency of looking down on each other just because we speak different dialects?
What is the origin of that?
Well, that's a good question. What's the origin of that? You would say that imperialists. You would say external factors. But before they came, though, weren't there practices of other tribes, fighting, tribes fighting others?
I think there was issues.
Yeah,
of course. But you have to understand also people live. For instance, the Fulani in Senegal and the Serer in Senegal, they live side by side with a lot of friendship.
Right.
And even today, if you meet a Serer have a joke for a Fulani. Therefore, but if you want to come and dominate people, you will say to them, these people, they don't get along. They always fight. I am the one who can put them together. And that narration have been played for a long time because you cannot come, I cannot come to your house and take your belongings without justification.
Okay.
I cannot sleep. For me to come to your house and take your belonging and sleep, I have to justify that way. That's why when the European came to Africa, they say this is, first of all, is a dark continent. Second, they are not civilized. Third, they only fight each other. Therefore, we have to bring them civilization, we have to bring them religion, and we have to bring peace. Therefore, these are the justification for a colonization. And this is the narrative that have been going there.
Right.
And therefore, it's the narrative you hear in school.
Okay.
Why you are here? Because your ancestors were not getting along. Is it? Did you have studies that prove genocide did happen between Fulanis and Serer? No.
No.
So you end up believing what they teach you, because school is a way of brainwashing kids. Or school are used for further certain goals. The person who control the program he will put the program in a way where people will buy to it.
Okay.
Therefore, you have to understand those kind of narrative, and we need to go and fact check those narratives and make sure they happen or not. And I believe this was not the case.
I would like you to tell us, based on what you just said, when we come back, I want us to talk about xenophobia in South Africa.
Okay.
Okay. And that is a very unique case which ties into what you just said. Africans used to live by each other. You know, we coexisted. You know, with peace. You know, without any eternal struggles until of course the Europeans came in and brought.
But sorry to disturb, but you have to understand that different conflict occur in the time of slavery.
Okay.
In Africa, if you read the history, there was little conflict, but the conflict was not huge. But when the Portuguese and came to the coast of Africa,
right,
and they wanted to slave, and they will give guns and things to one kingdom, and for that kingdom to attack the another kingdom for slavery.
Right.
That at that time, in the time of transatlantic slavery, you have a lot of conflict in Africa,
okay,
because people were fighting for the slave to provide people for the slave trade.
Okay.
But before then, did you have a huge
internal
conflict?
Okay, right.
Is the question.
That's the question. Yeah. Okay. That question, if you have an answer to it, the number is 773-942-7167. Before we continue, it's 6:47 p.m. here in the studios of WGHC. You're still listening to the Progressive Mind Show. This is an announcement for the community. In the spirit of Africa and discussing things that matter to us, WGAC, for what we stand for, we're trying to raise funds for the people of Mozambique. We know we had the flood situation in Mozambique, and I'm calling and I'm advocating for the billionaires in Africa. The billionaires in Africa to go to the aid of Mozambique. You know, when the cathedral got burnt 2 weeks ago, you know the people that first started donating money? The first people that set a fund donation is a French person. You know, it's a French citizen who set money aside that, hey, you know, something in my country, you know, I'm going to try and help. And then other people from the Western world and in Europe are supporting. What I'm trying to say is that when these types of disasters happen in Africa, Africa is not just a place of poor people. We host the largest number of black billionaires on this planet. All right. And so if that is the case, where are they? I know the external, you know, Europeans and everybody has to help, you know, but we should take the initiative. Hardly do you see Africans taking an initiative when these natural disasters happen. Where are our billionaires? Where are the most influential people? You know, where are the politicians, the soccer stars, the sports, and the musicians, you know, and all those great people on the continent of Africa? Even if you don't live in Africa, you live in the diaspora, you should start these types of fundraising or start this type of awareness for other countries that are in Africa, because it's absurd that I don't hear enough from these people. But let me finish this announcement.
To add to that.
Yeah.
To add to that is most of the time we don't see ourselves as African. We see ourselves as a Senegalese or Ethiopian.
Or Ethiopian,
anything.
right.
Therefore, what happened in Mozambique?
It's not my business.
Okay.
Right. Okay. That is a spirit we're calling for. The fact that your name, the country or the states, the place you live in sounds different, does not mean, we're different people. Anyway, so on the 18th of May, at the Wild Hair, WGHC is organizing a fundraiser for the disaster that happened in Mozambique. You can go to Eventbrite and check us out. Buy a ticket to attend this event. Please come and support this worthy cause at Wild Hair. If you don't know Wild Hair and you're listening to me and you're in Chicago, you don't know what's up. I was just kidding with that. Wild Hair is a reggae bar, club, restaurants it's on Halstead, and we're calling on the entire community to come and support this worthy cause. You can also make your donations online at wghcfm.org #Mozambique. Okay, so we can differentiate, make sure that majority, I think 80% of the funds is going to Mozambique, and then 20% would.
Time there?
Sorry?
The time for the event?
Oh, yes. The time is from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. All right, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. I was trying to get the actual address here, but it's so tiny. It's 2418 North Halstead. I'm going to have to get you, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, 2418 North Halstead, Chicago, Illinois. If you want more information, you can call 773-370. No, I'm not going to give this number out because I can't see it clearly. But 5 to 8 p.m. on the 18th of May. It's a Saturday. Come and help WGHC. This program, the station, is partly sponsored and supported by Makola African Market. Makola for all your African spices. Check out Makola. It's right on Wilson and Broadway. They have been supporting WGAC a lot, and we want to thank them for it. Also, Grace African Restaurant. Our old Uncle Frimpong, Smart Frimpong. Everybody calls him Smart. Uncle Smart Frimpong and his wife Ogre have been supporting WGAC. We want to thank you so much for this great work you've been doing for us and the community. Okay, it's 52 minutes past 6 p.m. We'll have a few, we'll get to our panel in a bit, and then we'll take a musical break. If you have a question for us, please, you can go ahead and call 773-942-7167. If you want to contribute or ask this wonderful people a question, any type of question. There are so many people on Facebook feed. I'm going to try and recognize as many as I can. Tari Tashiu Shigeye is watching us. She says, Afan Oruma must be federal working language with Amharic. Zahra Zeda is also here. Mame Nuri Adam is also watching us. Adama Reed Dialo is here. She says, yes, cousin. And then Ashia Hasnan. Hey, Ashia, my own sister, my own friend. Ashia Hasnan, thanks for chiming in. Maruf Asli Cole is also here. Saeed Mayad Ali. And then we have Hirfa Arbar, Rayed Aimo, and Kora Albi GB. We have Faro Jalata, Faya Umar, Gege Ngash. Tell him, Sana, my sweet hero. Thank you. Now you all pray for Sana and give her a special recognition and appreciation for me, because she wasn't feeling well. I mean, yesterday she was not feeling well at all, but for the love of her community, she said, Sana, I'm going to come. She called me Sana. Well, my name is Sana too, so she said, Sana, I'm going to come. So I have my namesake here. She's a powerful lady. You can see, you can tell from her voice and from her aura. My York Cure is here with us. Fatur Abdo, Ambora San, Chioma Tracy Okocha. I didn't know Sudan had that many people. I honestly don't know a lot about East Africa. Okay, Chioma, if you stay on for a little bit, you learn some things. And if you have questions, please feel free and call them or throw the questions here. Please, the names are a lot. So if I'm not able to mention you, please forgive me. And if you have a question, I would suggest that you ring in. Okay, ring in and give us a question, because when you send a question here, it might get lost in the feed that I'm getting here. All right, so please feel free and call 773-942-7167. I'm going to put it on the Facebook feed so you can check it out. Tell us the story about how you ended up in Chicago.
Well, I came to the United States as part of the group known as the Lost Boy of Sudan. There's been book written about that group.
Oh, the Lost Boy of Sudan.
Yeah,
All
the
right.
documentary about it.
Yes.
These are children who were displaced between 1986 to 1990 because of the war. Our villages were attacked, and that driven us out from our village. We had to walk, for a month before we arrived in Ethiopia.
You walked for a whole month?
Well, some had to work for 2 months, others have to work for 1 month, depending on how close.
On the desert?
Yes, on the desert. So,
how many were you?
Well, we didn't live at the same year. Some left in 1986, some in 87. I left in 88.
And when you left?
December of 88.
December of 88?
Yeah.
How many were you in a group, or you just you?
Well, there were many of us, 100 of us, maybe 500 to 1,000 from our village. But then there were different villages where children had to leave because of the conflict. So some of us died from starvation, from hunger, thirsty, and all the things we encountered during our walk to Ethiopia. And then we end up there. There was nobody there to take care of us, so we had to figure out how to live and support one another. So we were in Ethiopia, not a refugee camp, because by then there were no UN. So we had to, find whatever we have to eat. We have to take care of ourselves. And so we were in Ethiopia for 4 years, and then we left Ethiopia in 91. End up in a refugee camp in Kenya, Kakuma refugee camp, which is still the largest refugee camp now. In East Africa, with 180 million refugees from the region. So we were there for 9 years. When we were in the camp, of course, there was shortage of food. There was, disease, and we had to compete with other refugees who left Ethiopia. When the Rwanda genocide happened in '94, of course, we have Rwandan who made it to the refugee camp. We have people from Burundi and Somalian. So it was the largest refugee camp where we have to compete for everything. So I lived there for 9 years, and then end of year in Chicago in 2001 as part of that group known as the Lost Boys and Girls of Sudan. So
you walked from Sudan to Ethiopia?
Yes.
And then from Ethiopia to...
And when the war broke out in Ethiopia in 91, that forced us to leave Ethiopia. We tried to go to Sudan, but then we end up being attacked by the Sudanese government. So instead of going to Sudan, we have to walk at the border, end up at the border of Kenya and Sudan in 1992. But then we were also attacked by the Sudanese government. So that forced us to leave Sudan and went to a refugee camp, which is Kakuma refugee camp. So
in what country? In Kenya.
In Kenya.
In
yes.
Kenya.
And
from Kenya,
in northern Kenya.
And from Kenya, the UN. How did you end up in Chicago?
Well, in 98, 99, there were. The United States, the United States Congress, and the Senate decided that these children deserve to be given a chance. So about 12 to 14,000 of us who were in a refugee camp were given a chance to do the interview, and the U.S. was only looking for 4,000 to come to the United States. So those of us who were accepted to come to the U.S., we came as part of that resettlement program. And so that's how I end up here in Chicago with 150 Lost Boys. And we are in 38 states in the United States.
38 states?
Yeah.
Okay, so all 4,000 is scattered in 38,
scattered in different
38 states.
Yes.
But the 150 people that you
came to
Chicago with, you all live in Chicago now?
Yeah, well, some have to move out for whatever reason.
Right.
But yes, we were all in Chicago. And majority of them are still in Chicago here. So we basically, most of us on the north side of Chicago, we have a large population of Sudanese in Wheaton, Rockford, and so those places, yes.
Do you think you made an interview or got a chance to come because of your height?
I don't think so, because
Well,
if you talk about South Sudanese,
yeah.
I'm 6'6".
You were 6'6".
I have so many who are taller than me.
Right, that's the
But,
average, right?
You know, when I was in a refugee camp, I was one of those who was serving in leadership, you know, taking care of the children. So I talk about that during my interview, you know, and if they knew you were able to play that role in a refugee camp, be able to take care of other kids,
Right.
they know you could come here and do well in the United States.
Right, right. So you already had leadership skills in you even before you got to this country.
Yes.
Okay, and then you went back and built a school.
Yes.
Okay, we'll come to that. I just wanted to,
Yes.
I just wanted to come. We wanted to take a short break. Mike, I know you were trying to call, but we're past your session. Captain Mike is trying to call. We're past the session, so we would not take the health, sports, and fitness update today. We would do that tomorrow because we have a lot to talk about. At 7 p.m. here in the studios of WGHC. If you just tuned in, you are listening to the Progressive Mind Show. Here is where we build our communities by having these types of decorum where we're hoping that we can stimulate minds positively. Captain Mike, your line just ended, so if you're not listening, I hope you're listening now. We're not going to do the segment today. We'll do it tomorrow. If you want to advertise on WGHC, please, which you should. The Ghanaian, between Ghana and Nigerian community alone in Chicago, we're about 100,000. Talk less of the Ethiopian, the Sudanese, the Guineans, and the other communities. And we serve all this demographic. So please, it's an advantage for you to do your business, sell your products or whatever that you want to advertise. Send us an email to 98.3 FM WGHC@gmail.com. 98.3 FM WGHC@gmail.com. Kosi, if you just joined us, big up to you. We will take a short musical break. When we come back, we would like to continue this discussion. Stay tuned. We shall be right back.
Nani 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 nafata nani 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 yo nani nafata. jira yaga nani malan jira chachap se nanya te jira anin jiru wadi anin jiru yaga nani anin jiru te nanya te kote nami chinsani darbate yaga nani kote nami chinsani darbate kafe mulu nami roma abdate yaga nani malan jira chachap se nanya te jira
yow yaa ko moom nit bu dëgër dana war a fekk nga bëgg sa réew te sàkku ndimbal na ca fekk loxol boroom. We Africa bu jant bi fekkee waaw na la fekk joo ak sa jumtukaay bëccëg bi gaaw na ñett du bëre te ñaare mën kenn waaw yoon wi sori na te metti na nañu ko waaja ba du na bi xaat lañu defoon naam ya sokol ba du neex te du doxaat lu dul fento suma sañoon Afrika benn nit moo koy jiite ñu boole suñuy xalaat ak suñuy doole jox ko na ñu bi frontière yëpp taxal yoon yi ba ñëpp a gisee Jinjo Tiki walk together keep on walking Cheikh Anta Diop Kwame Nkrumah Stephen Biko
Okay, we would welcome back to the Progressive Mind Show here at WGHC 98.3 FM. Let's go straight to the discussion. We're still here in the studios with the voices of East Africa, diaspora voices changing politics and policies in Washington. They have indeed changed policies and politics in Washington with regards to East African politics, right? And one of the big voices there is this wonderful, strong, beautiful ladies, beautiful queen sitting in the middle by the person of Seenaa. Seenaa, you wanted to chime in on Alpha's comment, and then we'll come to the Oroma story again.
Okay. So, yes, I wanted... Alpha earlier, he mentioned before, you say that what's the conflict that we Africans don't seem to live at peace together even before the West or colonization.
Right.
But you got to really look at it. There is a nature of survivor of the fittest, right? So in nature, the way nature have is the strongest, the survivor survives.
Right.
The weak dies, and that's how we evolve as a human being. It has been like that in animal kingdom too.
Okay.
The strongest survive, and that is the way nature. But when it came to Africa, what happened is when genuinely African leaders come to power, there is influence of outside always diverting them. Instead of those passionate people for their people and strong determination in their culture, democracy, whatever, what happens is you have the outside force influencing and changing the dynamics.
Okay.
So there's never survivor of the fittest in Africa because the West is always have the hand in there. That's one aspect. Secondly, since Africa became liberated, you can take people like Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, or you can take Mandela, our beloved Mandela. But truly, if you look at it, these people, their freedom were negotiated. So when you negotiate previously, it's not truly free.
Right.
So what it means
it's
is
freedom
like,
with condition.
Exactly. So I'm saying, look at the state of South Africa. You still have land still owned by the white people. You know, don't forgive me, I have nothing against white people. And then you still have the indigenous Africans who are still in poverty 20 years since Mandela came. So if you think that is democracy and that is fair, I'm sorry, I have to disagree. Take Jomo Kenyatta. So when these African leaders came to power, whether it's 1960 or 1970, these people came partially by selling their people, by negotiating. So we Africans did not liberate ourselves from really oppression. What we did is we give in and took. You know, we put up this face, black face in the continent, but truly, instantly, these people are represented by non-African leaders. There are certain countries like Thomas that came to power, but the West always killed. You know, if they don't like you, if you don't support it, the West will replace you. So what keeps Africa outside of the peace? We cannot live together at peace. It's not that I see as an Oromo or I see myself as a Fulani before I see as an Africa. The thing is that I feel like we can live. He can live as a Fulani.
We
I
can
can live as a
coexist
Oromo.
peacefully.
But don't force me to worship Fulani at the expense of my people.
I got you.
I feel like the continent is big enough not only for us, for everybody. We have the resource. But what happened is we have the outside force that's influencing what to call ourselves.
Okay.
No, I mean the West. That's how. Look at I'll end one example. Recently, is it Irish? One country voted to be independent. The whole world let them be. But when it came to Africa, it's not like that. There is nothing wrong for people wanting to be independent.
Okay.
What we're saying is independent. That means you don't live in my country. You know what I'm saying? It depends on me. I wanted to be by myself, and I feel like it's a human dignity, it's a basic dignity as a human being that I have a right to call my territory whatever I want to call.
Right.
And as a brother, we ought to be, as an African, we ought to be one continent, one people, and we'll be able to go and work and live, but not by force.
I know Alpha wants to chime in. When you chime in, I said before the break we'll talk about xenophobia. So when you chime in, we'll come to that.
Yeah, the thing is, what I'm saying, I think maybe you are not understanding me. Me personally, as I told you, we have a problem of self-determination. It means basically we are not master of our destiny. Like the African said, an empty stomach, somebody with an empty stomach is not free. Therefore, giving you political freedom and keeping the economic freedom in my hand is mean I'm still dictating.
Right.
But you can have a flag, you can have a used tank and pretending you are independent.
Right.
But the real independence is the economical independence.
Okay, that's true.
However, I'm saying only that because you brought up the issue of fighting, I say is a pre-concept that have been always there. They fight, and we need to come and bring peace between them. Therefore, you know, there is an African say that said that the tongue and the teeth, they live together forever, but sometimes they fight.
Yes.
Therefore, doesn't mean you never, before slavery time, you never went to deep in Africa and say one ethnic committed a genocide to another ethnic. But the narrative is there that we don't get along, so somebody from the outside have to kind of keep us together.
Yeah.
You know,
As if we cannot manage our own affairs if we were left alone.
So if you believe on human rights issues, ethnies has an entity have the freedom to worship who they are.
Right.
And whoever believe on freedom should embrace that. What I'm saying is, in this beautiful, huge continent has a unity, we should be able to embrace our diversity.
Okay.
She's Uhuru, I'm Fulani, I'm proud of who I am. She should be proud of who she is. And I cannot see nothing wrong with that.
I think that's what she's saying.
So,
yeah,
right.
we're on the same page.
Yeah, you're on the same page.
Yeah.
You want to say something, Peter?
Well, no, I think we could go to the...
Okay. Xenophobia is cannot be accepted anywhere on this planet, but right on the continent of Africa, we know that this is going on. You know, you have South African blacks going against, or I don't want to use the word, but they are committing heinous crimes against fellow blacks because they are not necessarily from South Africa, you know, from other countries like Nigeria, Ghana, and other West African countries. To your point, we can coexist, you know, peacefully. But we are seeing it 2019. This thing has been going on for years. We've seen the pictures. People have been burned. What can we say to that? This is 2019, where, you know, Africans, many years ago, we were known to be peaceful people. We coexist regardless of our different tribes. Well, we can blame it on the Europeans for bringing this division and all that. But in this case, it's not white committing crime on white, on black. It's black on black in South Africa.
Yeah. The thing is...
And the government is not taking any harsh steps. I guess we have to talk about this.
Don't go further. It's ignorance. It's ignorance.
But if it's ignorance, if the people who are being ignorant, under security agencies that can make sure that people are not just being ignorant. You cannot be ignorant at the expense of someone's life. Here in Chicago, we know there's gang, war, whatever going on, right? But you know when you are caught, that's why they hide and do it. Because when you are caught, you know you face jail time. We know the police are patrolling the streets trying to clamp down on gang. But we don't necessarily see that in South Africa. I don't think the government is.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Exactly. You have to wonder. I want to answer that question, but I want to say one thing before that. I think when we were at this university, we were speaking that the question of I think it was about a year ago. I think, if I'm not mistaken, 2017 or 18, they declared opioid as a crisis. Opioid is drug, right?
In the States, you mean?
Yeah, in the state.
Okay.
So it was crisis. People don't go to jail. When you are caught with it, you go to hospital, you go to treatment center. But when you are caught with weed, which is less, you go to jail. So who is the victim, who is being affected, is determined what kind of punishment you get. If this South African crime was happening to white people, they would go to jail. It have already been fixed. But the problem is our African brothers, the victims are African, the victims are black. So
who
it
cares?
doesn't matter. Who cares? It's the number. We have plenty number, so that's what it is.
Okay.
And it angers me because I have a family member affected by xenophobia in South Africa. It's very unfortunate that South African government are not taking serious action against it. And it makes me wonder, yes, they have sold their own people. That's why the country is in poverty when 83% of the land is still occupied by only white South Africans.
If you say that, the crime is, committed, is black on black crime, right? And so if we're the other way around, people will go to jail. The incumbent government, the ruling party, is made up of is black people. It's not necessarily, it's not white people that's ruling South Africa. It's black people ruling South Africa.
Are you talking about ANC, right?
Yeah, the ANC, right? And the current president is black. So why is he, looking the other way when other Africans or other black people are being killed mercilessly in his own country by his own black people?
I think we all know the root cause of those is just poverty. You have a country where youth are not in school, they don't have jobs.
No, I think sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, Peter, but let's call a spade a spade. South Africa is one of the richest African countries. Period. They hardly even travel. If you go to, is it Cape Town, one of the beautiful, the most expensive cities in the world, arguably. Okay, Oprah and all those rich people have their houses there. All I'm saying is that Johannesburg, South Africa is rich. So if you talk about poverty, I don't think that people are so impoverished to the point where they would have to attack other African nationalities who are sojourned in that country to, coexist with South Africans. I don't think poverty should be the reason why and then even if that's a reason, it's not good enough reason for the government to stay silent on this thing that's going on in South Africa.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying there is different elements that contribute to allowing xenophobia to happen.
Okay.
One of the elements is ignorance, because if they go through their history, African countries got together and fight against apartheid. So if they know really that if they are free today, in huge part is because we fought.
Okay. Because
this thing will make you think before you go against another person. And the other thing is, we have a complex of inferiority as a black people. We view other Africans as less because we view black people as less.
Because that has been put in our head.
Yeah, because through our education, we are always told that we are less, we are worse, we are not good, we are
unless you are a particular skin, then you are a better person. But if you are dark, you are lesser than, Okay.
We have that complex on us.
Yeah, because we've been taught to think that way. Okay.
We have that complex on us, and we voluntary or involuntary act on that that complex of inferiority. If you have many Chinese, or if they go to South Africa, they welcome them. They they are happy they are over there
with open arms. Yes.
Therefore, but if you have a Zimbabwean or Senegalese or Ethiopian going there, they have the presentiment that these are poor people that are coming to take what is ours,
right?
Because there are that sense of nationality.
Okay.
Therefore, those different points, I agree with him. It can be economic, because you're talking about South Africa, but go to different countries in Africa. Whenever there is economic crisis, the first to be blamed often is the strangers, and the strangers often they have different nationalities.
Okay, no, but that's a point. But this point is solely, I would say, related to South Africa. You don't see xenophobia being, going on in a lot of African countries.
Let me tell you, it's what is in the news, but in other countries, you have a xenophobia as well. In certain history, if you look the history of Nigeria, at certain point they did
that to Ghanaians.
They put Ghanaians in the car and they returned them. In certain kind, like in other countries, they have been.
But these are in small, cases.
But xenophobia is xenophobia.
I understand that. I understand
the
that.
other point I want to make, you have to look at the three elements. There is ignorance.
Okay.
There is economic.
You can come this way.
There is ignorance. There is economic, and there is a lack of political will.
Okay.
Because if the government want to step in and make sure other people are secure, African are secure,
right,
they will do so.
Right.
But they don't see African has a economic asset to their country. They think we come in after they went through apartheid, went suffering. Now we come in to benefit from what they gain.
Now, yes,
and that thing is an ignorant way of thinking.
It's a very ignorant way of thinking. If xenophobia, I don't think that among the many problems of the African continent, I don't think that xenophobia is like on the top of the list.
Right.
Okay. Yes, it's happened before.
It's a problem, though.
Yeah, it is a problem, but only related to a small portion of the continent of Africa. Okay. So just like you would say that yes, there is gang war and there's a lot of killings in the United States. But yes, in terms of gang wars, it's noted for. I mean, some cities are noted for those type of things, right? You don't necessarily see that if you go to certain communities or certain cities. So all I'm trying to say is that xenophobia is centered around South Africa, but yes, it happened in Nigeria some time ago, Liberia, but in recent history,
recently in Mali.
No,
Ogon people went and massacre a village, a Fulani village.
Right. Okay.
So,
now the war of Fulani, the Fulanis and the other tribes, even in Nigeria, all the way up to now, it's not necessarily. I wouldn't say is related to economics or poverty. It's more of religion than anything. right?
Religion and politics.
Religion and politics. The issue of the
It can be,
Fulanese.
is an economic issue too.
Well,
because with the
economics is tied in a little bit, but it's
let's
more.
have a discussion on many. I cannot frame the whole issue
Okay.
on one part.
Okay.
As I say to you, there is a lot of element that play
Thank you.
in those issues.
Okay, what I really want us to actually look at or focus on is that
Okay.
these things are not accepted, right? Okay, so
No,
good.
It should be condemned.
Thank you, and that's
and things.
good. So my point is, how do we get the government of South Africa or wherever xenophobia is happening on the continent of Africa to take action? Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, and their leaders should start looking at this seriously, because people are thinking of going to invest in South Africa. People think that it's the best place to invest. They're not going to other West African countries or other African countries. These are some of the things you have to consider. The world has to start putting pressure on the leaders of South Africa to make sure to stop the killing of Africans by Africans in South Africa. Please go ahead.
Okay, so you raised a very good point about others pushing South Africa. I wanted to bring a question of or conversation into the issue that's happening in the Middle East against particularly women. There's millions of women, young girls, goes to Middle Eastern country to work, and these women are treated as a slave.
Okay.
In 2019, they get face burn, they get raped, they get thrown off the building, they die in hundreds on every day. African leaders don't speak up. Because African leaders don't mind what happened to their citizens, nobody is in charge. So if that happened to one Asian, one white person, their government speak for them. So if my government would demand South Africa, how dare you gonna allow my citizen? They might be refugee, they might have left for whatever reason, they're getting burned. South Africa is at free will, because the people who are getting burned, who are getting killed, are black Africans, are poor people, and the place they came from, they don't have a voice. African continent still, out of 54 countries, majority of them are still led by dictator, by government that don't care about its own citizens. So when these people die and get burned, there is no accountability, there is no government that is pushing South African. How dare you? That's us. South African leaders, ANC should be held responsible for every day that's happening. Not the poor people who's burning, but South Africa should be, the ANC should be in charge and should be accountable for it. Honestly, the leaders should be sued for this.
I'm also AU, the African Unity.
Oh, AUs are nothing but a gang sitting there protecting each other's interests.
Exactly. I mean, that's the whole conversation to be had sometime. But I want to just zero in on Voices of East Africa and how you were changing policies and politics in Washington. Your story is powerful. I want to retract to how you got to. I know you've given a speech in Washington. How many times have you done that?
So I did in a briefing and in a hearing session.
And a hearing session.
Yeah,
okay, so on 2 occasions.
Yes.
Okay, so
and I've been there many times.
Many times.
Yes.
Okay, we want to start from the year. I mean, we want to go to the year you started doing this. I mean, when you decided that I'm going to do this, what necessitated, who gave you the push, who gave you the support, and all that. But the Lost Boys of Sudan, is that the name of the documentary? The Lost Boys of Sudan. So whilst you came to the state, 150 Sudanese men and women, right, made it to Chicago from that story you just narrated, migrating from Sudan on foot all the way to Kenya until the U.S. government came in. First of all, what would you say has been, how has the contribution of the U.S. to your coming here affected you, and how do you think this is going to carry on to the generations that are going to come after you?
Well, I think the good thing that happened to us was
by the U.S. government,
that the United States, first of all, decided to bring some of us here in the United States. So when you have nearly 4,000 lost boys or young men and girls who have been together in a refugee camp, they went through a lot. They were victims of the war in Sudan. When you brought such a large number here in the United States, I think this was a big help to Sudan in a way that most of us came straight here and started going to school. We wanted to take advantage of being here, making sure that we educate ourselves. But while in the process of doing that, we knew the war in Sudan has displaced millions of people. Nearly 2 million died.
Have you lost some family
war.
members? Have you lost some family members?
Well, my father died during the war, but every family in Sudan at least have lost someone during the war. So when we came to this country, our main goal was to raise awareness, to make sure we educate the American people.
Right.
The government in Washington may know about it, but sometimes they are driven by their own interests. So the good thing in the United States here, if you are able to mobilize people to understand your cause and rally behind you, politicians in Washington most of the time don't have a choice but to do what people demanded. So what we have done when we came to the United States here, we begin, sharing our history in school, at universities, at churches, at synagogue. We organize rallies in places like Chicago, in Washington, all the places that, we could get as many people. So when we did that, now the pressure was on Bush administration that the war in Sudan went on for so long. And one thing I just want to mention, and I think my brother mentioned it earlier, while we were organizing this event to raise awareness about Sudan, unfortunately you mentioned earlier that there were many Nigerian and Ghanaian here, but one of the problems we have to tackle later is the fact that whenever there is, whenever we want to raise awareness about particular crisis, whether in Burundi, whether in DRC or in Sudan, others, as Alpha put it earlier, look at it as a Sudanese problem. So Nigerian would have nothing to do with it. But anyway, we were very successful in mobilizing the American people. And so with that, that's what led to the independence of South Sudan in 2011. So we went to school. We have been raising awareness. I've been doing that since 2001, since I came here. Didn't get a chance to go home. When I first made it home to Sudan in 2008, that was 20 years, since I left the country in 1988.
Wow.
So I went there with the intention to see my family. When I was there, with the other Lord boy from the region, we came and started the process of building a school. So there's many things that we have been doing. Just to summarize it, we have been on top of raising awareness. And if the United States did not allow us to come to this country, nobody would have actually
giving you the
been
chance.
on top of that. We went to school here. Most of us are now engaged in charity work, whether you go back, you study the school. Some has been going there to build clinics. So we're contributing in different ways.
Some are going there to build clinics.
Yes.
Clinics. So you're saying out of the 150 that came here, at least from the group the core group that you were with, some have become medical doctors.
Yes, we have medical doctors,
civil
we have
engineers,
we
lawyers,
have different kind of
profession.
people. Yeah.
Wow.
And we have to find a way to contribute, to give back, especially if you are somebody who survived and made it to this country. The only thing you could sing is always to sing of whatever.
Yeah, to give back.
To give back.
Yeah. So you went back and built a school.
Yes, with the Lord boy who happened to be from that region, we all came together and we decided that we started a non-profit organization. We started raising money. We went back. We started the school because we know in a long term that if you could end the war, but you have to have people with the skill, people with the knowledge to be able to use the resource for the good of the people. So in a long term, we have to invest in people. So that was the idea.
Is it a high school, elementary school?
Yeah, there are lots of boys who have, like there is a brother who have written the book, What is the What?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so he have a secondary school, which is high school.
Okay.
Ours is a primary school.
Primary school.
Yes.
And how many was the population in the school?
Before the war of 2013, that displaced many of the families from the region. We had about 800 children from that school. Now the attendance have decreased because when war broke out in South Sudan in 2013, majority of the families have to leave the village and went to a refugee camp. So the number roughly
has
have about 400
yeah,
currently, yes.
Right. If you're listening, this is the Progressive Mind Show at WGHC. Is 34 minutes past the hour of 7 p.m. here in the studios, and we're still talking about the voices of East Africa, diaspora voices, changing policies and politics in Washington. And we're here in the studios with Peter Magie, Seenaa, Jimjimoo, and then Alpha Dialo, all happen with the conversation. If you want to contribute in any way, the number is 773-942-7167, 773-942-7167. I want to remind listeners that please help share this information for us. If you're on Facebook, look up WGHC page. You will see the flyer for our fundraiser, which is on the 18th of May, and help share that flyer. Okay, create this awareness for us. We want you to come in your numbers. African problems have to be initiated by Africans. We are capable, and we are capable of solving our problems. So we have to start initiating and try and make an attempt in solving our problems while we seek help from others. So it's on the 18th, as I stated. It's a Saturday, 5 to 8 p.m. and it is at the Wild Hair Reggae bar, reggae restaurant, club, whatever it is. But it's a reggae club. We want all of you to come there. Make sure you are there on time. 5 to 8. We only have that's time, because after that, the club is going to open into the public to do their thing. So we need you to be there early, 5 to 8 p.m. Saturday, May 18th. Come and support WGHC while we raise funds for Mozambique. Okay, please come. It's going to be a lot of music, so you can dance, we can interact, we can get to know each other and raise funds for a good cause. Like I said, when the cathedral got burnt in France, okay, they've raised more than 200 million already, all right? And these are Europeans and French people championing this cause. So when things happen in Africa, I am encouraging and begging all the African billionaires and folks who have made money off Africa and also have sympathy for Africa to go to the aid of Mozambique. All right. Okay, we would continue the discussion. It's after this show, 36 minutes, excuse me. After this show, 9 p.m. is Straight Talk. Straight Talk is an Igbo show. They go deep into politics, so you want to stay tuned for that. 9 to 10 p.m. Straight Talk is going to come in. It's coming on. But I'm tempted to call you Oruma. Seenaa, let's go back to, and I would like to come to Peter again, because that's a very deep story. If you have freedom now and you have food you can eat, give thanks. Because some people have gone through things to have some of the the privileges that we are enjoying now. And so, Oruma, tell us what motivated you, and who are the people that helped you to even think of fighting for the people of Oruma?
So I want to answer that, but I want to add one thing. What Peter said.
Okay.
Peter, because Peter and I go way back in freshman college, and his community, really Sudanese. The last boys of Sudan are who changed Sudan to become an independent nation. They not only changed the policy in Washington, they actually took that policy and made it reality. They twisted al-Bashir's hand to make South Sudan a country, because al-Bashir was brutalizing the non-Muslim, he terrorizing, he killed hundreds of thousands of people for years. Kids, women, he didn't discriminate. And because of last boys of Sudan, the policy in Washington D.C. under Bush and Clinton, because of them, the policy changed. It affected it, and it created the youngest African country. The question you asked me in terms of about how I became involved in politics. So just like Peter said, there is not an Oromo family I personally know. Like I told you, Oromo make up about 50 million. That's not affected by Ethiopian imperialism. The West is infatuated in Ethiopia, save Ethiopia for whatever reason, that they were willing to fund any leader to keep that country intact. And if that means beheading, some of the violence my people, my family endured, I can't tell you the kind of torture these people faced. The Ethiopian government released 60,000 people last year. Over 4 weeks period, 60,000 people.
From where?
In Ethiopia.
They released from where?
prison.
From prison, okay.
From prison. And the government came out and apologized. We're sorry, we terrorized you. This is the first time we've been under the terrorism of Ethiopian leaders for the past 130 years. So I came from a generation of my grandfather who was fighting for freedom, to my father, to my brothers, and right now to me. We were fighting against oppression.
In Ethiopia?
In Ethiopia.
Okay.
In every way possible, in our identity, in our religion,
Right.
in our culture.
And then you came to the States.
Right. So we came to the States.
Did you come here through
refugees?
Refugees,
Same thing.
okay.
Right, exactly.
Okay. And then
So my dad is
you went to
politician.
school. Okay.
Yes, went to school, just like Peter. Went to school here. So I got involved in politics since I was 9, 10 years old.
Okay.
As far as I know myself, I've always...
Because your parents were in politics.
In politics. And then to be honest with you, it's not just my parent. There's no an Oromo person that I do not I know that have not been either in jail or been beaten up simply for being Oromo, simply for speaking or promoting Oromo. So when you come up from that kind of environment, you passionate so much, you eat and breathe and sleep within that identity. So the policy that turned into what changed in 3 years ago. And so the Oromo have been protesting for a very long time. For a very long time, I'm talking about here in the diaspora.
Okay.
Our protests were not being heard.
Right.
You know, we go protest. We didn't know how to really work with American policy. So what we did is the past 3 years, we learned some of the effective advocacy. Like, how do you really change the minds of the Congress? How do you change the minds of elected officials?
Right.
So what we did is we organized our people. This movement, Ethiopian movement, from diaspora, it didn't really just change by Ethiopians, by Oromos only. It actually went. There are Sudanese, there are white people, there are black people who went with us, who spoke with us, who rallied and protested with us, pushed their congressperson, pushed their senators to actually make the change of that take place. So for the first time, the U.S. government acknowledged that the Ethiopian government was indeed brutalizing, terrorizing its people, and for the first time, Ethiopia is such a very powerful country that receives over the past 27 years, they received about $30 billion, and they stole all $30 billion. They get billions of dollars every year, billions from the U.S. and around the world. For the first time, the U.S., not the State Department, the worst time was when Obama was in power. I used to work for Obama. So when Obama was in power, he was in this love relationship with the Ethiopian dictator. Even though they know the government is dictator, the government is terrorizing, there's human rights violation, there's killing, they know all this, but they were not willing to push anything. They were too afraid. But for the first time, because the Congress pushed it, they didn't have a choice, like Peter said, to speak for us.
Before we take this call, you would say that your voice, in addition to the help and support of others, changed the story of the Oromos in Ethiopia.
Correct.
In Washington.
Correct.
Okay. We'll come back for more details. We have a call on the line. Tell us your name and why you're calling, please. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Yes. My name is Rashani Driver. I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Okay, for the African people, what is the main thing that would make them independent?
What is the main thing that it would, again, please?
For African people, what is the main thing that will make them independent?
Okay, for African people, what will be the main thing that will make us independent?
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, so I think there are many things, there's many factors that really makes us independent. The first thing you have to do really is if a human being is a slave in the mind, if that person really accepted the inferiority complex, there's nothing you can do in this area, to be honest, to liberate them. You can take the case of African Americans, where there was 80% of the South population during in the 18th century. Even though the white made up 20% of the population, they were being led like animals. The blacks were following the white people that are only 20% because they felt like they believe they are inferior. They believe that these white people have power above them. So there's really nothing you can do besides to follow them. So the main thing as a human we can do is to really free our mind to believe that I alone, that I can succeed, whether that is poverty, whether that is education. African challenge is we Africans are still depending on some magical powerful, whether that is the UN is giving us this handout. This handout, this UN support is one of the killers that's really making Africans so dependent in warfare. We are in the state of warfare, and if you are in a state of warfare that you're receiving funding and food from the other people, you don't have a time to think for yourself. It's about time that Africa is left alone to itself to deal for its own problem. Once we know the survival of the fittest, we win. The fittest win. We lead. We decide our own destiny. Only then Africa will really be truly independent. Cut the funding. Cut the being involved in African politics. Don't support, and that's the main thing I really speak for.
So mainly, it will be education and maybe, of course, proper leadership.
Absolutely.
Because we know that we have the majority of the African population is uneducated. I mean, is illiterate.
And yes.
Right.
And
so more education, great leadership would give us the absolute independence that we're looking for.
I don't know where that person is calling from, but the only thing I could say...
help.
Can you ask the question again, Lishandra? No, she's
it's different person.
No. What was the follow-up question, please?
And unity.
Oh, yes, and unity. Yes, unity. You were very right. But I think on top of the things that would make Africans very independent would be education. I would even say good leadership. If we have the right leadership, like what we're seeing in Rwanda, okay? Rwanda, we know what Rwanda was before and what it is now. And it's all because they have, a good leader. So if Africa, in general has good leadership, it will bring that, it would know that education is important because it will create that framework. It will give us that structure, a system that will make Africa function properly. And of course, they would also let us know that unity, which we've always had, they would reiterate, they would bring back the spirit of unity to Africans. These things are there, but we need leaders to revamp or awaken some of these things in the African people. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, so my name is Lashanya.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good evening. The number is 773-942-7167. 773-942-7167. It's also on Facebook. If you wanna feel free. If you wanna ask a question, please go ahead. Who was making a?
I was just adding. What I was adding to that was I didn't know where the person was calling from, but when we talk about this independent, it start if it's about us in Chicago, it's a good thing that I'm sitting next to Seenaa and then Alpha and you from Nigeria. Now we represent 4 African countries, so I would basically try to emphasize our unity here. I mean, if we all came together and start doing whatever we have to do collectively as African. If there is like what is going on in Sudan right now, if there are protests taking place in Washington, in New York, and we all come there, I think that is what would make a difference. So we would have to tackle one problem one at a time.
Okay.
So
let's see if you can answer some of the Facebook questions. Rama Bakar says, I asked 2 questions. Rama, please pardon me, because of the number of feed that we're having, I'm not able to locate. I kind of missed a question. I'm looking for it. If I find it, I'll ask it for you. If I'm not able to, please, can you ring in? The number is 773. It looks like we have another caller on the line. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and why you're calling.
I'm just watching the online live stream.
You say you're calling from where again?
New Jersey.
Okay, your name again, and please go ahead.
Mike.
Okay, please go ahead with your question or your comment.
My question goes to the lady. Her name is
Seenaa.
Sunny. Huh?
Her name is Seenaa.
Seenaa. Yeah, it goes to her. So, can you ask her? When it comes to unity, can you bring a false narration in the past and bring unity? She's from Ethiopia, right? Now there is going on, ethnic federalism right now, right? So, there's a divide and conquer, and, to be, a united country, you need to have a concrete history. You can't change history, right? You can't you can't mislead people by just creating, a fabricated story, right? So can you ask her, can you bring unity by fabricating a story just for the sake of, getting support from the party she's supporting?
Okay, I think your question is fair. They're going to try to answer. Okay, please hold on.
Okay.
So he mentioned about how can you bring unity, and I think the colors party he have a knowledge about Ethiopian politics. Right now, Ethiopia is in a very intense situation. Like I mentioned to you, for the first time, the Oromos are in charge, and the other ethnic group feel like, now we are being controlled by Oromos, and the Oromos are forcing the identity on them. And so I kind of know for the listeners who don't know the history of Ethiopia or are not following what's going on, just to give them a little bit background is that the country, even though we have a new government since 2018, the country is in a very shaky, very intense, and there's a possibility of civil war. And imagine, it's a powerful country, the second largest populated country, and it is also that's where AU is. It's an international city, and that for that country to go in any civil war or chaos, it will create a huge problem for the whole East Africa, if not for the whole of continent of Africa. So how do we bring unity? I think the very important thing is that the people need to have honest conversation. One thing I didn't know about Ethiopian politics is this fake utopia. There is this narrative that Ethiopia before 1991 and there is such a unity existed. No, like I mentioned to you, I gave an example of my own grandfather and my father that there was never peace in Ethiopia. There will always be revolution after revolution after. There was never a peace transform of leadership in Ethiopia. Period. That's a fact. So how do we leave that behind and really transform into democracy, transform into peace, and transform into unity? For one, eliminate this false narrative or this utopia. Ethiopia is a country of 83 ethnic groups, and every person in that country have the right to be who they want to be, to speak the language and practice and worship the God they want to worship. That's number one. Second is a good governance. You know what I'm saying? There has to be a government that really enforce rule of law, not like the previous government where they have perfect law. The constitution is a very beautiful constitution, but they were above the constitution. They were above the law. Enforce the law, and the law have to be implemented. And thirdly is about the people. We the Ethiopian people. What kind of Ethiopia do we want to know? I mean, let's be, there's this fake utopia that I live in a Oromian region, and therefore, one of the things that I hear is like, what's mine is mine, what's yours is up for debate. That doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? What's mine? If you're gonna say what's mine is mine and what's yours up, no, we don't accept. Africa, let alone Ethiopia, is past that. Right now, we're talking about democracy. We want to move towards democracy, and toward democracy really requires reconciliation, acknowledging the past. Really, stop pretending like the past did not happen. There is a deep grievance within certain community. Accept that fact. We are not saying the Oromos and other ethnic groups are not saying like because you killed X and Y and Z, we're gonna kill you. No, what we're saying is today we are here. Let's really talk about true democracy, where you as a human person, as a human being, where you as an Amhara, as a Tigray, have equal right as an Oromo to live wherever you want to live, but don't come and force your identity on me and trying to rule this. So I think it's a human discussion.
Can I ask you one thing?
Yes, quickly, please, because of time.
Quickly. So you mentioned like it's only the Oromo that has been oppressed, but let me tell you one hero person, Balai Zalaka, who's an Amara, who has been killed by Haile Selassie. So we never complained about that. The other thing, in Amara region, the so-called Amara region, we have sub-regions that respect the human rights of Oromo. We have sub-regions that respect the Agaw, so that they can administer themselves. But in Oromo region, for example, there are about 15 million Amara. They are not allowed to administer themselves. There are Gurages, Kunama, a lot of ethnicity over there. They are not allowed to speak their own language in school and in the court. So what kind of democracy are you talking about? Like, if you are concerned about
Caller, because of
really
time,
democracy.
Because of time, can you wrap it up for us, please?
If you are thinking about equality, like about 83 ethnic groups, right? So each ethnic group, they need their language to be respected, right? But in Oromo region, none of them are respected. Only Oromia is allowed. So is that true democracy?
Okay, let her respond, and then we can move on to the next thing, okay, please?
Okay, thank you.
You know, there's only one thing I could add. In case of Ethiopia, if you look at Dr. Abiy, the current Prime Minister of Ethiopia, I think if people of Ethiopia start looking at him as a leader, regardless of what ethnic group he represents, you know, and try to do away with those issues, whether there are issues between Oromo, Amharic, Tigray, I think Ethiopia is blessed to have such a kind of a leader right now. And it would be a challenge for Ethiopian to keep, you know, focusing on issues of inequality, what has happened to what group and so forth. You know, they have to look at Dr. Abiy, and see him, is he performing well? And if he's performing well, Ethiopia have to rally behind him, because it's very rare in Africa to have such a kind of a leader who is so caring. At least with what he have demonstrated right now, he seems to be a good leader for that country. Okay.
Caller, because of time, I think there'll be another time where we would have this conversation in depth, and maybe you can join us a little bit earlier. That way we can have time to go into deeper things.
Yeah, but I would love, thank you for giving me the time, but I would love Sunny to answer me this question, like if really language is an issue, why the rest of ethnic group are not allowed to attend school in their own language and, you know, speak in their own language at court and other places, other government offices. So if we really talk about pure democracy, you know, that has to be, you know, put into consideration.
They will attempt to answer that question for you, but the little I would say using different languages in different schools for everybody, that would be difficult. I mean, I don't know, even in you know, in Europe, you know, if you go to France, if you go to Germany, if you go to Italy has so many other ethnic languages, but there is one general language that cuts across. Okay, then one official language. It helps for uniformity. It helps.
15 million to 20 million, is that a small number for you?
Well, no, I'm not saying, you know, all I'm saying is that using an official.
I'm just saying, yeah, I mean 15 to 20 million. Is that a small number?
No, it's not. It's not. But
I'm talking about that number.
Okay. All right. He's saying 16 to 20 million. It's not a small number. So he's advocating. So you want to respond to his question quickly?
Yeah, just to get the facts right, that's a lie. First of all, there's no 15 or 16 million Amharas in Oromo. The population of 15, Amharas is 15 not.
15 to 20. 15 to 15 to 20.
I got you. It's not that number is very off, and I just wanted to give him the fact is that there are some obviously violence and crime that is happening to Amaras. I'm not saying that's not happening. That's a fact. The Oromos are hurt. The Amaras are hurt. Everybody at some point have hurt.
Right.
What we're saying is that in Amhara region, if you're speaking Amharic, if your national language in Amharic, don't you think Oromos have the same right? If Oromia is not good to you, why don't you go back to Amhara? You know what I'm saying? If you want to learn in your language, if you want to practice your culture, then there is a region called Amhara, and that is for the Amhara people that you should go back there. Secondly, and he also mentioned, like, even if there's about 3 to 4 million Amharas in Oromia, and that's still a very large number. But these are scattered all throughout Oromia. Oromia is the largest region in the country. So they are, yes, if if these people congregate in one area, like the Agaw people or like the Wallo people, yes, indeed, they should have their own separate special zone that they be taught in their language. But if they feel like, they live in the heart of Oromia, there are a couple of hundreds of thousands of them, they feel like they should not, you should be taught separate language. If Oromia is not good for you, I think, in my opinion, go back to where you came from.
Right. I think the issue of language.
Where do they go? They've been born there.
Okay, my brother.
Like
Okay,
generation.
my brother. I think we should, as Africans or as a people, our conversation of development. See, look at what China is going in terms of economic development, right? Asia. Look at, of course, America. Look at Europe. These people are building things. They're putting things in space to transform the world. AI is taking over the world, right? I think as Africans, right? As Africans, our conversation now shouldn't be what language a group of people should speak, or why can't we speak our own language and have our own school here? Because we know that type of thing brings division. By the time you and I are done talking about language, China has put in the next satellite or the next thing in space. America has done the next big thing, right? Europe is moving forward with the next sub train or whatever it is. All I'm saying is that the world is moving ahead, and these people that we are in America, we are in the diaspora. We don't see them having argument, right? When they have debates, their debate is not about language, food to eat, where to stay. Like, their debate is about national policy, right? Like, big things. When next are we doing national infrastructure or jobs or healthcare or canceling student debt? Canceling student debt does not recognize any ethnic group. It's for everybody. Healthcare is for everybody. So what I'm saying is that as Africans, the types of arguments and politics we've been having in the past, I think we have to start, looking at it again. These ones, language, can take us, even right now on the show, it's taking about 10 minutes just talking about language, right? And I think that we have different dialects. And I said it earlier. Even in Europe, if you go to France, Germany, Germans, we know they speak German. If you go to France, everybody thinks they speak only French. No, there are other ethnic groups who speak other languages, but you barely even know it. Almost everybody speaks French. Even when they speak their own dialects, there is one language that cuts across, because there are bigger fish to catch. There are bigger things to do than, thinking about the small things that divide us. All I'm saying is that it is important, our culture and our language, but maybe let's not, dwell on it. Let's look at what would benefit the entire country and everybody, what would benefit everybody. You see what I'm saying, my brother?
Yeah, I feel you.
Okay.
As long as the elites are speaking, like, to come to unity and love over hate, if you stop hate against, each other, then, we are going to be in the right direction.
Okay.
But right now,
yes,
I'm not seeing that.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay, you have a point. You have a point. Because of time, you have a point. Again, we'll do this again. Stay tuned to WGHC. We are the first African Caribbean radio station in Chicago. If you anywhere you are in the world, you can listen to us. Download our app for iPhone users. You can get it in the App Store, WGHC FM. Folks that use Android, you can download the TuneIn app or go to tunein.com and then download that. And then once you have the TuneIn app, you can search for WGHC FM. Or, of course, our website, which is wgacfm.org. 24/7, you can listen to us. We play reggae, we play African music, and we have these types of conversations. So catch me again next week, Tuesday. Another Tuesday. Yeah, but just stay tuned. We'll be having these type of conversations, okay? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome, my brother.
Good job.
Thank you. Okay, let's continue with your submission. No, Alpha, I know you haven't spoken for some time.
No, it's okay.
Yes.
I can listen.
And we have a few minutes, Robert, but thankfully the next show starts at 9, so we'll take a few minutes to probably trying to wrap up. This issue of what we were just talking about. Okay, give us your little opinion on the things that divide us as a people. When I say people, the black race, Africans. And even when we come here, like you all alluded to, excuse me, I see myself as Ghanaian. You are Guinean, right? And then she is from Ethiopia and he's from Sudan. And that is so Looks like I have another caller online. Caller, can you please hold for 1 second? We will come to you in a minute. We want. I want you to, because we see ourselves so different. We are not different people. The Nigeria, the titles, the names we have, it's just names. But it's like Mercedes-Benz, Toyota, but they are all cars. They drive the same. They take fuel. Okay, they have wheels under them. We same people. We should not be seeing ourselves so different. And this language thing and these little things are dividing us. What's your opinion on that? And what can we do to correct these things quickly, and then we can take the caller?
I think we are a new generation, and we need to think as a new generation.
Right.
The past should be only a lesson that we should learn.
Right.
We are different ethnies. We have different languages. We in the past have problems, but those problems should not stop us for the vision that will help us in the future.
Right.
It's okay to revise the past, trying to figure out what happened. But the past is the past,
right?
And we need to move on.
Okay.
This guy, Nkrumah,
Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, yes.
Yeah. Ghana was the first independent country, but he said that Ghana cannot be independent if Africa will not be independent.
Exactly.
If you don't get what his message is mean, you don't get it.
Right.
Because the only way we have is to see ourselves as brothers and sisters with the same vision.
Exactly.
So we are a nation.
We are a nation.
Ethiopia is not a nation. Ethiopia they put different people together. Guinea is not a nation. They put Fulanese and Susu together. The only nation we have is the African
continent.
Nation.
Right.
And if we come to that understanding, we should take a step with courage and move on. Through that way.
I thank you so much.
Achieve it, maybe our grandchildren
will achieve it. Okay.
But if we don't do so, we will stay in this kind of
small bickerings. Yeah, it's not necessary. Caller, please quickly, because of time, tell us your name and why you're calling.
Okay, my name is Chato Romea. Hello?
Yes, your name again and where you're calling, please.
Chato Romea. I have commented the question for Seenaa, Jimjimoo.
Please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Chato Romea. I'm calling from Texas. And Seenaa, Jimjimoo, we're so proud of you, sister. Seenaa, we're so proud of you. There was a guy who called before me, and his name is Mike, and he was trying to say the Amara people was oppressed in the Oromia region. But I was born in the Oromia region, but I don't speak my own language. I speak Amharic, their language. That's how Oromo is oppressed. So he doesn't even know how to say Seenaa's name. She's from Ethiopia, right? That's how he was lying. And those kind of people, what's holding Africa back, in my opinion, they're really dragging us back. And on the top of that, Africa, the richest continent on the earth, but we are the poorest people on the earth. It's so embarrassing. All this happened because of what our leaders. Nobody take responsibility for their own people. Always finger pointing to Western, saying, the Americans and the Western did this. But Africa needs their own people who stand up for their people to do the right thing, so we can go forward based on that. And about Ethiopia and those people who denying the truth, saying, we are 50 million in the Weezers and the Biz, none of them in Oromia region. I'm born in Oromo. I'm one of them. And I was born and raised in TPLF regime, and that's in that time, in this 30-something years. But I don't even speak Afan Oromo, but I was born in Oromia, but I speak Amharic and I write in Amharic because we weren't allowed to speak our own language. So those are people who deny people's freedom. How can you forward with those people? Those make it so difficult for all Africans to go forward. And that's all I want to say. And I'm so proud of Seenaa, and I'll continue to listen to you. Thank you, girl. Ego, we're so proud of you. We're behind you, all Africans, unite and fight for our freedom. I'm proud of you all. Thank you, Chicago.
Thank you so much for your contribution. We appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Wrap it up for us. We wanted you to tell us. I mean, I was interested in how when the first time you went to Washington to give this speech. Excuse me. And can you take it from there? probably respond to her. She was giving you shout outs.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah. So I'll come by.
She said she really appreciates you. You probably missed that part because of the phones.
What she said, what I want you to remember is like her name is Jaltum. She's born in Oromia region, but she doesn't speak Oromo.
Okay.
Even though she's born in Oromia region,
right.
she says she could not speak her language. So what does that tell you? Right. You in Oromo, born in your own region, could not speak.
Right.
But you as an Amhara in Oromia region feel like you are entitled to be taught in Amhara, in Amhara language.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that we have a bad government system in Ethiopia, in Africa. And I agree with him. There are some persecution. There's something that did happen to certain Amhara people. And that's a fact. And as Alpha is saying that our conversation does have to pass that. We have to pass talking about small things to really, a big picture. How do we eradicate hunger, disease, poverty that is really keeping us behind? That we cannot think about the technology, we cannot think about better things because we're so hungry as Africans. We're so poor. The moment you are smart, you come to waste and you work in the waste. It's a brain drain. All the smart people, all the people who really have passion for these people, for their own people, are in the waste because they could not work.
Seenaa, we have a call on the line, but before I bring her on, I want you to tell us briefly how you moved Washington in bringing the change that we are seeing today for the people of Oromo.
Yes.
Quickly, and then we'll take this call.
Yeah, so basically what we did, let me tell you, Oromo, there are now hundreds of thousands of Oromo in the U.S. For the past 30 years, we couldn't mobilize the Congress.
Okay.
We tried to push Congress to push this Ethiopian regime. Stop giving the aid because the money that comes from here, the weapon that comes from here is what's killing our people.
Okay.
So what we did is we picked each communities from Chicago. I rallied them. I trained them how to talk to Congress. What we wanted, we cut down the chase and look, this is what we want. This is what you're gonna ask Congress.
Okay.
So we sent each communities to their own member of Congress. So when the resolution came, we worked with the Congress to write the resolution to make sure everything that we need to be used in the paper. So we mobilized about 30 states to talk to their Congress. We brought about 5,000 people to Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And we protested.
That was the first time?
For the first time. And
what year was that?
This 2016.
2016?
Yes.
Wow.
And for the first time, they were like, who are these people? Because we have traditional, we shook Congress. For all of a sudden, they recognize our voice, not because we are Oromo, because we have voting power. We're not illegal immigrant here. We have a lot of 99% of other citizens of this country.
And then you orchestrated all this?
Exactly. Yes, of course I did. I played a major role, and I work with the Oromo community. Let me be very, very frank. The Oromo communities are the one who make this possible. I did travel a lot to Congress, making sure bringing all this together. It's the work of the Oromo community leaders.
Okay. Caller, quickly, because of our time, quickly, your question and your name, and then we shall try and wrap up the discussion this evening. Please go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Tina Davis, and I was wondering, we as African people, how can we bring ourselves forward? Because, most of the African countries are, so far back. Like, Liberia is, suffering and stuff like that. How can we rise up as African, as one, as whole?
Great question, Tina, and I'll let Alpha try to answer that question for you.
Personally, I think we should unite. Wherever we are in the world, we should get together and try to unite for the sake of Africa. Started here. If she's in Chicago, we should all get together, break the barriers about nationalities of Ethiopian and things, and get together and discuss at least, create a platform. For instance, you're talking about languages. Our intellectuals should sit and trying to find, okay, how can we come up with a language that will unite all the African people? If you see the Turkey was part of the Ottoman Empire, their language and their alphabet is something new.
Right.
It was created in the 1940 and something. Okay. So you see, we need to, in whatever our differences, we should break that idea. I am a Ghanaian.
I am from here. I am from here. I'm from there.
We need to know that the only way we can get out of this mess is when we come together.
As a one nation, we are from one.
Is it going to be easy? No. We have been brainwashed as kids that you are a Ghanaian, that you are different from a Guinean. I am being brainwashed that I am
Nigerian, and you are,
I speak French.
Right.
You speak English.
So we're
and
different.
Also, we are different.
We call ourselves Francophone and Anglophone.
Anglophone. So we have been
crazy.
Going through that process.
Yeah.
Now we are a new generation. The past should be a lesson, and the present should bring us together.
Right.
And together, we should be determined that we will change.
All right. Anybody else want to chime in on how can we unite as Black people? Tina, to answer Tina's question.
Well, I think they have already answered that question. The only thing I could add, my brother, you have really done a wonderful job. And I think, like, when we started
you can
discussion,
call my name if you forget my name.
Seenaa,
remember her name?
Yeah, I know your
okay.
name. So we started this discussion with South Africa earlier. We, three of us who are sitting here, we know many South Africans who are here in Chicago. So one thing I would encourage, you invite different Africans to this studio to come and talk about whatever issues.
Yes.
If they have things that they are doing back home, or if they want to educate us about South Africa, for example, if we have a representative of South Africa, that's how unity started. It started with individual, and then we expand that to the rest of to the rest of the. You just invite people to the event that we have on May 18th. This is the good starting point.
Right.
What happened in Mozambique was a natural disaster. That should bring us all
together.
Our faces should be there. And that's how things start. We cannot, so it starts from there.
It starts from there. It starts from there. Well, Tina. I don't know if Oruma wants to. Oh my gosh! I don't know if Seenaa wants to answer. I mean, do you want to chime in on respond to her question, or?
Oh no, I think they did a very good job.
Okay.
For it, yeah.
All right, Tina. Does that satisfy your curiosity? No. Was that good for you?
Yeah, some of it was, and thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Have a blessed day.
You're welcome, and I hope you can make it to the 18th of May at Wild Hair, 5 p.m.
Definitely, I'll be there.
And bring your friends too.
Okay.
And you know what? Bring your wallets.
No problem.
All right.
I got you.
Have a good night.
Okay, you too.
Okay. You're welcome. All right. So it's 15 minutes. Alpha, you want to say something real quick? Okay. I saw your gesture. I thought you wanted to say something. Okay. I know the Roma lady is ready for me. She wants to say something. Seenaa will give us wrap up for us. But before we wrap up, I just want to remind listeners that WGAC is a non-for-profit organization. We are your community radio station, of course, the first African Caribbean radio station here, and we rely so much on your donations. So please go to our website, wghcfm.org, and make your donation to us. You can pick your favorite show, okay, and donate to. You can pick Progressive Minds or donate to a specific cause to the station. Most importantly, donate to us, wghcfm.org. Last caller. Okay, this one has been coming through the whole evening. Last caller, and we will end. We're not taking no more calls. Please tell us your name and why you're calling. Please, because of time, make your question very snappy or your comment your comment so we can wrap up. Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Mohammed. I'm calling from Washington, D.C. And I got a question. I don't understand why many Africans who were African kids were born and raised here have difficulty in finding, like ladies finding husband in America, and the men get wives from back home, and there are always these kind of questions, and people hesitate to answer these, and I don't understand why.
Man. You probably asked the most powerful question of the evening. Well, but please hang on. They will try to answer that question for you.
All right, thank you.
So actually, interestingly, I wrote one book, and one of the chapter talks about that. What is it that these African diaspora, African women, even men, we don't seem to find husband from here.
Yeah.
We always have to travel back home. For the men, marry half of their age. You know what I'm saying? In my community, 40 years old will go marry like 16, 15 years old. What is that? So I think the challenge with that, it's a lot different. I think it varies based on the country. Because like for my country and like country like Nigeria, where you have a lot of large Nigerian community, here in the U.S. the issue is different. But so I want to come back. If I take Ethiopia, and what he says is a very powerful question because it's true. A lot of time, a lot of us have to travel back to our native country to find significant other. And I think one of the reasons is that for African men, men come from this patriotic society where it's the purity of man, where the submissive of woman is expected, and then you have this diaspora women who are used to money, who are used to power,
and independence,
and able to be submissive. It's to quite be honest, we are unable. We cannot be submissive because we are so liberated. Our men's expected this submissiveness from women. I think that's where we cannot match.
Right.
But I feel like hopefully the next generation will be a little bit better.
I think it'll be worse. Well, I don't want to say that. I take that back. But from the way things are going with with the surgence of information technology, AI, and a lot of other information springing forth, social media, women are just going to get more empowered. Men are just going to get more, of course, and everybody. It's franchised, yes. Well, look, people are just going to get more independent. The world is getting more cynical and negative. So it's especially in the diaspora. Africa looks like it's a little calmer, even though it's not anymore because the Western culture is influencing Africans too. But it's a tough question. And I think that maybe another day we can sit here and try to digress it, right? Okay. All right. Okay. It's been great. It's 20 minutes 20 minutes exactly past 8 p.m. We would wrap tonight's topic and we'll continue another time. But we can't go without having our guests give us their last comment. So we'll start from my far right. They say ladies first, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, she's the queen, so I want her to have the last word, right? Okay. So she's giving us the permission, right?
Yes.
Okay, Peter, your last comments, and then we can close tonight's show.
Well, the only, so sometimes it's very interesting when you talk about your personal story, what make you contribute to whatever you are doing. As I mentioned earlier, I'm from South Sudan. I left Sudan because of the war. I was forced, to live away from my family for 20 years, and I'm still away from them right now. So I'm a committed person. I become an activist in the process because of what I went through. So I don't want another generation of children to go through what I went through at a very young age. That empower me to be a voice, to the people whom I represented here, being Sudan or South Sudan in this case. So the only thing I could say is just to thank you for giving us the opportunity. I've given myself a chance to share my story in high school, universities, churches, and the goal was to raise awareness about crisis in Sudan. Now there are protests in Sudan. These are the things we should all come together as people of African descent and be able, to come together in solidarity with Sudanese. And I think that has to start here in Chicago. So I just want to encourage people once again, we
Before
are
you
here,
close.
but keep inviting people from other African countries.
Oh, we've done that. On this show, we've had all the African leaders. I think the only leader we probably haven't had is the Sudanese. I've had Ghana, Nigeria, Togo, all the leaders on my show, trying to unite the African leaders. So but we're going to do it again. Dialo, Telly Dialo, he's been on my show. We've been doing this. I know there's some calls coming in. Please, because of time, we can't take any more calls. I wanted you to share quickly what was going on in your head when you were a whole month or maybe more walking on the desert as a young man. What was going on in your head? Did you have what kept hope alive for you?
I think
lots of people were dying all over.
Well, when you are put in such a situation, you normally don't have a choice. But I think in our case, we were just so many children. And so, competition is always necessary because we all want to survive. So if I see other children going, I have to also ask myself, if there are other children who could do it, why not me? So one of the choices I have made when I went to Ethiopia was I accept the responsibility, to be in a leadership position.
No, before that, I want to know what was happening to you, what was going through your mind while you were walking on the desert throughout the nights, like days, nights, without food, right? Water. I mean, what was the condition?
Well, during those days, you don't have a choice. If you remain behind, then you are left, and then you would eventually die.
So you have to keep walking.
Yeah. So
did you have food on you?
Yes. Well, we did have food. That wasn't enough.
Yeah. So
well, I came from the Dinka ethnic group, and I could take you back a little bit. When we were a little kid in the village, there were times you would leave your parents and go to the cattle camp, and when you are at the cattle camp, you are by yourself without the support of your parent. So I think as a little boy, and in many African cultures, we always encourage, just to be independent.
You learn
be
how
able
to
do
survive.
things for the community, for yourself.
Yeah, I understand that. Maybe time cannot permit us, and I know the calls are coming, but we gotta wrap up. We gotta end the show. Look, whilst you, for a whole month. People are like, if you ask someone to walk 10 minutes, okay, you walk the whole month and you will not walk on streets where you were seeing lights and cars. Just few people.
I think if you find yourself with another group of children who want to survive, I think
without water and food,
the only thing that could help you is to unite yourself and be able to support one another. When we were walking to Ethiopia, of course, there were children who would give up. But we, like the older one, would have to take care of the younger one. We have to encourage ourselves that, let's keep moving. So I think during those days, we have the support of which we have to support one another. So, so we were organized into group and so
I think what helped you guys, like you say, is that it's like you make up your mind. This is what you have to do. As simple as that. As a young person.
I know, because how do you even survive? You don't have the energy. There's no food. There's no water. Like, keep walking.
But what keep them alive, though, I think what keep them alive is the mindset.
The mindset. That's okay.
There's no option. There's no option B.
Okay.
You keep walking. Or you are left to die.
Or you die. Right.
Well, if I were to share the whole story, the thousands of children who did not make it. These are the people who think I have no option. There is nothing else to do. I'm in the middle of nowhere. My parents are not there. I don't have food. There is no water. You give up. You lay down. Then that's the end of your life. But
as long as you keep walking.
Right. But there are others who survive. Either they were supported by the older children. There are others who survive because they tell themselves that I'm not going to give up. Because if you give up, then the only choice, the only thing is that you're going to die. And so giving up was not an option during those days. And the encouragement would come from the other children. Because if you see other children of your age moving, you would tell yourself, if they are moving, I'm going to do the same thing too. So that encouragement was coming from the other kids.
But is it possible, like no food? Can people work? I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Well, for those of us who were born in Africa and raised in Africa, of course, you would have to find a way to survive.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay, caller. The reason why I pick your call is it kept coming through. So please make it quickly, and then make your question or comment quickly, your name and your question, and then we can wrap up.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Lamiha Shawit. I am from Ethiopia, and I have a little bit question also. So. We have some problem in Ethiopia. I am one of them, Amhara tribe. So we have a bad problem in Ethiopia. So the couple minutes ago, the lady, Chal to Oromia, she says something. So I have to say something about little bit that question, whatever she say. She says, I'm from Oromo, but I don't speak Oromo. I'm speaking my Amhara language, she says, which is my language. So she live United States, and she do sometimes live video, and she's lying a lot. She's a liar. She do speak her language. I'm not lying. I can give you her Facebook page. She hates so much. She spread so much hate, and she speak properly her language. I don't understand these people why they lie. I'm really upset.
Okay, all right.
I don't understand why she lied.
I know.
This is a lie.
You wouldn't know why people lie, but everybody has a choice. But thankfully, the people in my guests here are not lying.
Because I can give you her Facebook
yes,
page.
Yes.
She went to live video today. She spread so much hate about my tribe.
Okay.
We're not bad people. We love African, not even Ethiopia, all African. I don't understand these people, why they hating us so bad. She speak properly her language. I don't understand why she lie.
Okay.
That's they do.
All right.
They lie.
Yes.
They liar.
Yes.
I don't get it.
Yes, caller. That is why we're having this type of conversations. We will keep trying to educate people so that they can sieve through the lies and the truth. And that's why we have people here in the studios, great people, and elsewhere who are spewing the truth to counter any lies that's out there. So at this point, hold on.
Her name is Chaltu Oromia. She speak properly her language. I can send you her live video.
Okay.
Today she went to live video.
Okay, ma'am.
earlier.
Hello, ma'am. I understand that. All I'm saying is that you can't stop people from lying. It's alleged. If it's not alleged, but even the president of this country, it's on record.
Yeah, I mean,
wait, madam.
The problem
Hello,
is
caller.
people, they cutting neck, they destroying houses, they creating so many problems.
Okay,
people.
caller, please hold on. We understand that some of these issues cannot be solved maybe during a show or at one time. We will take baby steps, okay? And like I was telling you, people choose to lie, all right? People have lied and gone to jail.
I understand. I have to stand up for
yes.
Amhara people too, because one of them, they hating us Amhara people. That's me.
Okay.
So I have to speak up, for myself. I have to defend. This is self-defense, know.
Okay.
These people.
You're right.
Okay, go ahead.
You're right. If she's doing that on Facebook, you have the right to go on Facebook and defend the truth. Okay. And like I said,
I understand. Why she lie in public? Why she lie in public?
Madam,
that's not fair for us too,
Madam, can you please listen to me for a second?
All right, go ahead.
Okay. You can't stop anybody from doing what they want to do. People can choose to lie all day, any time. I just gave you a typical example. Even the president of this country, right, is on record that he said one thing and changed his mouth on another day, right? You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the president of the United States. So what I'm saying to you is that people can lie. People can do anything they want. It's unfortunate. But it's on you to defend it peacefully, and which is what you are doing by calling into the show. You can also go on Facebook to refute what she's saying. We have people in the studio who are also trying to tell the truth so people can understand. So take it easy, okay? I know it's annoying.
But she come to you. She lie. I was listening.
Okay, so you have also come to me. Okay, so you have also come to me to share your side of the story, right?
Correct.
All right. So let's do this calmly, okay? I know it's very frustrating.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm a little emotional because I was upset what she said.
I understand. I understand.
You can't win with the lie,
I understand. People will lie any day, but again, I understand you are emotional. I mean, it's very emotional. But again, what I'm saying is, let's try and calm ourselves down while we pursue this African unity and whatnot. After all, that is an African too. That's your sister, right? She's my sister. But we all have differences. Even within families, siblings fight each other. So let's have patience whilst we talk, while we handle, or while we strive to attaining unity within the African community. Okay, and your call and your passion is well understood. But all I'm saying is let's call for calm while we try to debate each other. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope to have you another time. All right.
Thank you so much. I was a little bit emotional. Sorry about that.
No worries. All right. God bless. Have a good night. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's wrap up. Your last words, and then you can add this one to it, and give your last words.
I only want to take the opportunity to thank you for inviting us.
You're welcome.
Thank you for including me in the debate. And I truly believe that whenever you meet people, you got the opportunity to share and learn something.
Right.
This was kind of a great experience for me to learn, and to see how challenging things can be.
Exactly.
But I only will say it again, that we represent a new generation, and we should get together and be able to have a conversation.
Right.
The past should not define us, that the present should be where we should kind of put our step and move on for it.
Exactly.
And ethnic issues, religious issues, nationality differences, we should be able to overcome, because we are, we represent love, we represent a new generation.
Exactly.
And we are intellectuals, so we need to move on.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the opportunity.
No, thank you so much. And please take note that we're about to, the show has ended, so we're not taking no more calls. Please go ahead.
Obviously, Sana, thank you very much. I think what you did, and Peter and I, and we've been talking too, try to come together. We are leaders in our community. We are not leaders because we came into your show. We are leaders for years, bringing our own community, addressing our own community needs and demand. We cannot sit back and just pray for some magic to come and help us. And especially when it comes to Oromo, for me, it's who I am. It's who I am in my religion, and in my politics, and my identity. So I attend his event. We're trying to say, okay, you want to bring, he have the bigger picture. We're talking about Ethiopia, and it's one language in 1 out of 54 countries. We're talking about the continent to come together. So we really have to think about it, not this only, but really tomorrow, 5 years from now. We should be, as Africans, as black people, we should be able to have one national language, that one national identity will transcend this fake border that is placed in Africa. So we do aspire, and we do work on that, and we talk a lot of that.
Right.
We have met on this particular issue. So people like you, when you have an event, about the event like Mozambique, reaching out to other community, inviting other community to hear their voices, to give them the platform. I think that's the way forward. In the past, African leaders were truly not leaders. They were there in place really to steal from African young generation. They're there to make money and to save their friends. But we as a new generation, as Alpha have said, Sigale, we really have to try to tackle the issue, the problems of our time, not just really look into the past and talk about the past. Really, okay, we want to end hunger, we want to end poverty, we want to end disease that is killing us. Ethiopia today, in 2019, over 70% of the population under the age of 30. Can you imagine over 70% of the country is young people? How do we make sure the violence perpetrated against women excuse me, is that stops, the ethnic politics stops, and religion radicalism stops. These are very, very issues that we need to be talking as a continent and coming together. Really, it's not by denying. We cannot deny the history. It is what it is. Nobody is saying, because your ancestor killed my ancestor, so let me kill you. That's not what we're saying. Yes, maybe your ancestor did kill me. That's fine. It is what happened. We were ready to move forward. As Oromo, we have to move forward. We have to leave the past to the past. We have to talk about how can we live together as a people? How can we come up with a language that satisfies you and satisfies me without having to erase or undermine my dignity as a human being? So the thing that you're doing, the fundraising event, and having a platform, inviting different opposing ideas, it doesn't mean I have to agree with everything. I just have to respect on your view and express my own view. And I think the moment we accept that, we don't personalize and get so passionately angry about it, and stop being selfish. The thing about African, like you say, we have billionaires in Africa. How many African billionaires are helping Africa?
That's what I'm saying.
They're not. They are there to steal from the people, sell the land, take the oil, and make money and leave Africa into poverty, the young generation to poverty. So we Africans have to address our own issue. We need to stop looking to the West for help. And I wish, to me, it's like if the West can stop everything, let us mind our business. Let us die in millions. The survivors will create the peace. I think that's the most important thing, if I would say anything.
Man, To say that this lady is powerful is an understatement. Okay, no wonder. She's achieved so much for her community. Looks like your story is similar to the Biafra story.
I'm very well aware of the Biafra people.
Yeah. It's okay. We thank all our listeners for chiming in up till now. Folks who have been on Facebook, listening to us on the app and on the website via the phone, thank you so much for tuning in. The Progressive Minds promises to bring you these types of discussions week in, week out. Our goal is to help build our community. We are the community building show. I want to thank my guest for coming to make this program a success. Peter Magie, actually, you have left a legacy. You have left an imprint on humanity forever. By your story, by your bravado, your tenacity, and for every gift that God has placed in you. You have given a lot back already, and so God bless you so much for. I know the story is deep. We haven't spoken every. We haven't digested the entire story. The movie is out there. It's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
YouTube, The Lost Boys of Sudan, right? Yeah. The Lost Boys of Sudan. You can check it out. Then you understand the gravity of his story. He has changed the politics in Sudan. He has changed the lives of millions of people in Sudan. And Peter Magie, thank you so much for your contribution. And you're still working. That's an interesting thing. And then the queen in the middle, Seenaa Jimjimoo, thank you so much for your contribution to humanity, for your sacrifice, for your passion. A lot of people have this passion, but for fear, they haven't come out. And so there's no fear in your eyes. Even though you are so sick, you came here and it's like nothing's happening. Imagine if you were not sick. This place would have been on fire. And then next to her is the man. And of course, you have changed the politics of Ethiopia forever. Things will not be the same before you came to the scene. Things will never be the same. And so the people of Oroma and generations that will come, Oroma, right?
Yeah.
Oroma, yeah.
And generations after that will never forget names like Seenaa Jimjimoo. And I'm proud to have a name that's close to you. That's, Seenaa's, I'm proud to have the name Seenaa. Now nobody should call me look. I'm just kidding. Everybody knows me as Seenaa anyway. But yeah, your story and what you've done is enormous, and you're still working. You're still working. Again, we weren't able to go into every bit of what you've done and the nitty-gritties of it, but this is not the first and the last time of you coming here, the three of you coming on the show. We will keep having discussions such as these, time after time. And then Alpha Dialo, thanks for your immense contribution. You are still working for Africa. There's a lot in you that we know we can get out to help our continent, help humanity, and help society, and of course help this country in which we live in. We are blessed to have a beautiful country like this. We are blessed to enjoy the things that we're doing. And sometimes one thing I say all the time is that as Africans in diaspora, we should always be grateful and try and honor the African American community, because by their sweat and their blood and their tenacity, even though we played a part in their demise, they have fought over the years for us Africans to come here and enjoy some of the things that we're enjoying. So our brothers and sisters in the African American community, we salute you. There's a lot that we're going to be talking about. There's a need for us to connect to them as well. Like you said, it's one nation, it's one people. As long as you're black, you know where you are from. Okay, if you're black on this planet, you know where you are from. You are from the nation called. It's not even Africa. Africa has we had our own name before the Europeans gave us
exactly.
What was the name? Is it Kushi or something?
Kushland, it all in the area, and the east is called the Kusha.
But that'll be another time to talk about.
Come and talk about that.
Oh my God! Remember to come on the 18th of May. Do not forget. Tell your friend to tell a friend. Tell some millionaires. Okay, some of you know a lot of millionaires and people who have money. Come to Wild Hair on the 18th of May. It's a Saturday from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. If you don't know what Wild Hair is, just Google Wild as a wild animal, and then Hair, Hare, is a reggae club in Chicago. It's on Halstead. Come there and help support Mozambique. This is very important to WGHC. And also on the 4th of May, the Prestige Society African Women Achievers of Chicago are presenting Mother's Day fundraiser dinner. So you want to, if you have time, you can go and help them out. Is the 4th of May. The venue is Chateau Del Mar, 8301 West 95th Street, Hill Creek Hills. And the contact people are a lot. Because of time, we can go into all the contact. Remember to keep watching Progressive Minds. Go on Facebook, search for Progressive Minds. It's all one word. Like the page, follow us, send us your feedback so we can better make this program. Something beneficial to all of us. It's been wonderful. God bless you. We will see you next week. Remember, to whom much is given, much is required. This has been your host, Alinko. Bye-bye.
You're listening to WGHC 98.3 FM.
Yo, but we are nothing's friend from see the first time. After trust instant, I'm a boy. You get anything you like, long as you are right, then me alright. Me know your man, that's why I'm alive.
Your voice, your music.
Whether me in a skirt or jeans or short shorts, head raised when me walk past. Me feel the eyes, believe the eye, me love the lights, me do it despite.
Say you like you all I got to all baby, pana. Anywhere that you go, I can follow you to go, baby.
You're listening to WGHC 98.3 FM.
New level, new level. New level, new level. New level, new level. I them turn Tony in a rebel. Pam banana pam panam pananam pam pam banana pam panam pam 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 banana pam panam pananam pam pam banana pam panam pam.
Your voice, your music, your station. WGHC 98.3 FM.
Paniquer.